one of the most iconic places in the world known for growing cannabis.
Got a winner. It's dope.
Hi again. Sometimes the best adventures start with a simple connection. And we've made some pretty meaningful connections over the years in this community. Connections that have turned into lifelong friendships.
We've been creating content revolving around growing at home and our love for the plant and all things cannabis for almost 4 years now. Through that passion, we have found an amazing community and some amazing friends along the way. Like Dakota from Home Grow TV, Joe from Basement Grow Show, and Mr. Q, who finally started his own channel, Mr. Q's Garden. Friends that share our same passion around growing, learning, and creating.
Last year, we were fortunate enough to get to meet them face-to-face in Las Vegas, when the first project we had planned together came to life, AC Infinity Pimp My Grow, where we held a contest for the community where we got to completely make over someone's grow space with all the best gear from AC Infinity. Little did we know, that trip to Vegas was a spark for something much bigger.
As soon as we got back from Vegas, Dakota hit us up along with Joe about the next big adventure he was dreaming of. He had recently returned from a pheno hunt in California with the Humboldt Seed Company and was amazed by what he had seen there. He wanted to return and bring his friends to share that amazing experience. And so began the idea to travel to Northern California, to the region that started the cannabis movement in the States, known as the Emerald Triangle.
We had such a great time connecting and so many awesome memories from our time in Vegas. Of course, we were on board for this epic adventure. When we brought the idea of the trip to Sydney at AC Infinity, she was immediately on board with the idea of sharing the knowledge of the legends in the Emerald Triangle and bringing it back to the tent. And together, we all began planning the journey of a lifetime.
We wanted to say thank you, Dakota, for putting us on this trip and thinking of us on truly the journey of a lifetime. Make sure you go check out his version of this trip on his channel, Home Grow TV, on YouTube.
This was so much more than just a documentary. This was truly a journey into one of the most mystical, magical, special places on Earth.
This trip is going to take us 2 weeks as we travel to Northern California, going to different farms, meeting the growers, checking out the buds, and experiencing the culture. We knew it was going to be a huge project, and we knew we could do it.
We needed another member of the team, someone creative, someone who loves growing in this community as much as we all do, someone who could help film and capture those moments and the behind the scenes. We found Jay, Hyperactive Highs on YouTube, and after a few calls with him, we knew he was a perfect fit for the team.
We also needed a legend of our own, the author of the Cannabis Encyclopedia, Jorge Cervantes.
That's pretty incredible.
Some might say the original cannabis content creator. Jorge has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the area dating back to the very beginning of cultivation in the region.
1977. Then it was like amazing because they had incredible here because they had better genetics.
Along with his assistant Stefan, they brought the wisdom and the creativity.
Mr. Q, a grower, I'm a professional drugger. Smoke tester, American cuisine enthusiast,
Got an American recommendation, and let's just say it didn't fail.
and fellow creator. It's hard to imagine making this trip without him after hanging out with him in Vegas. He's the glue to this joint, keeping the team together and burning strength. And to make this vision a reality, we needed a wizard with a camera. Someone who can capture all the key moments, the audio, and a professional drone pilot. Dakota knew just the person for this. All the way from Spain, Alfred.
We all knew the logistics of this trip were complex. We needed someone who knew how to plan, schedule, keep us on track, and get shit done. We knew Sydney from AC Infinity had the skills from Plan Pimp My Grow and other ACI adventures. We all vibe well, so it was a no-brainer. Along with Drew, the marketing machine, making sure the budget and the content was on point.
So, what is the Emerald Triangle? Why are we going, and why does it play an important role in the history of cannabis cultivation?
The Emerald Triangle refers to a region in Northern California that is known for being one of the most prolific cannabis growing areas in the United States.
The Emerald Triangle is Humboldt County, Mendocino County, and Trinity County. And that's where all the main growing goes.
All of which are located in the rugged, rural forests and mountains of the northern part of the state. The Emerald Triangle has a reputation for producing some of the finest and most potent outdoor cannabis in the world. With a long history rooted in countercultural movements, illicit cultivation, and more recently, legal cannabis production.
Our mission? To journey to the Emerald Triangle and meet the legends and the growers who've been mastering their craft for years, and some even decades. To hear their stories, see how they grow some of the most amazing cannabis in the world, and find out the secrets of the Triangle and what makes it so special. And maybe take some of that knowledge back to our own grow town. With the team assembled, itinerary set, flights booked, and over a year of planning, this dream is about to become a reality.
This is the Emerald Legend, a journey into the Triangle.
We get up at 20 a.m.
5:16 in the morning.
5:16, so we're getting ready to fly out. It's like a 9-hour total flight. We're gonna be on our way and then see everybody as soon as we touch down. So
Can't wait to see y'all.
let's see, man. Is that basic, bro?
Get in here, Dang. Get in here, man.
Touchdown in Sacramento, and we're picked up by the crew. Again, heading north to Humboldt County to Sandy Bar Ranch, the first place we were staying.
The check-in has begun. Everyone's getting assigned their cabins.
Saw a bear.
Yeah,
We saw a bear alongside the road. We turned around, and there it was.
we're looking at our first dog over here too, bro.
After the 6-hour car ride, we were all excited to catch up, unpack, and get ready for the next day.
I guess I've been named sower of things.
Look how Joe sued him.
Just so it doesn't come undone.
So how do you feel that?
I put it on the inside.
Joe's epic selling
I put it on. It's just how we wanted these things, yeah.
The logo works for me because I'm in my old stomping grounds, for years and years. This is the 5th decade I'm into this, 50 years I've been making the runs up and down the coast. Glad to be here. It's a real good group we got with us.
It was so good to be back with our friends, old and new, and so many hilarious moments.
Sandy Bar Ranch, take one. That's sounded.
We got dogs. We might have Bigfoot. Coming out and never talk to civilization ever again.
If you guys want to see all behind the scenes, make sure you go check out the full behind the scenes vid from the Emerald Legends trip on Hyperactive Highs on YouTube.
It's morning, dude. First bacon and eggs of the trip. Chef Joe right now cooking it up.
You could definitely feel the excitement in the air with the whole group.
Welcome to the Emerald Legends journey into the Triangle, baby.
Alfred arrived that morning and got right to work on our first piece of content, AC Infinity After Dark.
I can't believe we're here.
Unbelievable.
And where are we? I guess that's the first thing to talk about. Emerald Triangle, yes, but where does this adventure begin? We are in Humboldt right now, in the northern section of the Emerald Triangle, and we're going to be making a full adventure from north, going south, and checking out about 7 different farms along the way, guys.
If you want to check out that live or the really fun scavenger hunt video that we filmed, that was absolutely hilarious, definitely go check that out on AC Infinity's YouTube channel. Eric Nugshots also arrived that afternoon, and if you guys don't know who he is, definitely check him out. An absolute master and legend with the camera to document all the buds on this trip.
Eric, the legend right here.
We're here. We made it.
Dude, showing up with a fresh live bud.
It was so good to see Eric again, and of course, he brought some gifts.
Wow, man. Well, we just opened up a couple of jars.
The band is officially together. We pretty much got everyone here together now. We're about to roll up a few DVs. We're heading up to Nats tonight. Again, it's not even officially day one. Day one starts tomorrow. But it's already beginning. Adventure's getting nuts.
Nat had an amazing farm-to-table dinner planned for us all, and it was so good. Nothing's better than good food, good weed, and good friends. We spent the rest of the night vibing, sharing stories and laughs, and having a good time. It's hard to believe, but it's still just the first day of the trip, and our journey has just begun.
Day one. Everyone get fueled up.
What do they got?
Day one. Day 2, 4A, 4A. Let's go. Yerba Mate. 3, 2, 1, Yerba Mate!
Our first stop on the trip is Humboldt Seed Company's main breeding farm, also known as the Anchor Farm. This is Nat's farm and where he's been doing the growing and breeding for decades. And we've grown some of these strains at home in our tent that have came directly out of these breeding grounds. So it was super special for us to be able to go there and learn how it's done from the man himself.
Welcome to Humboldt Seed Company's Anchor Farm in Northeast Humboldt. We've got our Vino Hunt Tour group here today. We also put together a nice little tasting bar of both like local fruits and vegetables that we've grown, and then of course some amazing dabs.
Yeah, so we heard everybody was coming. First thought was like, well, what are we gonna smoke? And so reached out to a lot of our collaborative farms, just friends. So we have stuff from Earl Hill. We got a bunch of the different Pinot winners from last year that they washed into fresh frozen rosin. And some classics like Blueberry Muffin, Granny Candy was there, the new Chicken and Waffles. And then we have stuff from the Rich Boys, which is down in Grass Valley area. They work close with our friends at Wildleaf, and they do a lot of the fresh frozen extract from their fields. So we got a lot of the samples back from last year's Vino Hunt as well. Friends from Humboldt Fungi, Chris really hooked it up with some of his new mushroom crosses.
I'd be down, but maybe not too early. Oh, whoa, breaking the seal.
Sure. Just kidding. That are now legal in California.
No one knows like these guys do. Show up homegrown melon.
Yeah.
Puff goes in extract.
There you go. There we go.
Really?
There you go.
Wow.
This thing is so dope. I've never had it.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, this is my first one. Thank you.
Erie glass tops.
Erie glass tops.
I've never felt so welcome in a place in my whole life. This is amazing.
Round of applause for day one.
Let's go, day one.
Day one!
The welcome and hospitality was incredible. Being at Nat's farm was special because we met Nat and Ben in Las Vegas last year and learned about Nat's inspiring journey. He's the founder of Humboldt Seed Company, and he's been breeding cannabis for over 20 years. He's been a huge part of his local community and activism for Indigenous people and environmental justice. He also played a major role in helping undam the Klamath River, the largest river restoration project in U.S. history. He stayed deeply committed to these values, serving communities and advocating for justice for over 20 years. Hallie also joined us throughout the trip, Nat's daughter, who grew up immersed in growing and cannabis breeding.
To me, it was just like the normal. We were always a farming family, and so we would have our crop of corn and our tomatoes and our peas and our wheat. And that was just like the life for me.
She's been involved from the start, helping the pheno hunts and seed selection.
Pheno hunting has always kind of been like one of my, I would say, like specialties.
Now, Hallie oversees key operations and contributes to the company's nonprofit, the Nature's Rights Council, reflecting her passion for environmental justice, Indigenous rights, and her Humboldt County roots.
All right, welcome Pheno Hunters. We wanted to just go over sort of the nuts and bolts of our pheno hunting process. We really just want you to focus on the ones that you really would speak to you.
A phenotype is the outward expression of a plant. A genotype is the genetic information that you get when you sequence a plant. And then you also have the chemotype. That is the chemical constituents of the plant. When you have all of those things combined together in a great plant, we call it a dreamotype. Dad joke. Sorry.
So this is the pheno hunt rating short form. There are a bunch of different variables on here. Smell strength, is it really, really strong? Trichome density, how frosty is it? Plant vigor is really self-explanatory. Then we also have disease resistance. Disease resistance is a little tricky, but you're gonna see diseased plants out there.
And aphids and things like that too. You'll see one plant in a variety will be more susceptible to aphids or spider mites. Powdery mildew is a great one.
Plant structure, that's a little bit subjective. Flower color, purple to green.
When you're pheno hunting, the more plants that you look at, the more likely you are to find the unicorns of the cannabis genome.
And it's always good to put notes too at the side of the column if you find something unique that you really like, because that helps kind of help it stand out.
2018, we did the first 10,000 plant pheno hunt that we were aware of in the world. You know, I think we were kind of pioneering massive pheno hunting.
And one of the biggest things to remember is there is no wrong answers to any of this, because it is extremely subjective. It's about your senses, your eyes, your nose, and how you resonate with the plant. So that's like one of the most interesting aspects of it for me, is that you really see who gravitates towards what plant.
You know, this is obviously a breeding farm, so our very first and foremost priority is breeding.
Feel like I'm at Willy Wonka factory for cannabis. I can't wait to see the magic, you know what I mean? I'm pumped up.
Once Matt was handing out the binders and kind of showing us like what we were going to be looking for in all the phenos, it makes sense to put that on some type of scale. So it was really cool to see their processes and how they choose their flowers. We didn't really know what we were getting into. I didn't really know what pheno hunting was. Like I kind of, knew the gist of it. We're looking for flowers, but I didn't understand the depth of it, and I had a whole new appreciation for it.
Now that we got the crash course in pheno hunting from Matt and Ben, it was time to hit the fields and check out the plants.
So we all brought pheno hunting vests as a tribute and as a thank you for making this a thing. And we're about to do the reveal. I don't think Matt knows we all have vests. So literally, this whole thing of wearing vests is because of Matt. The first time seeing him online with his pheno hunts, he set a trend, and we're making it a thing. As a tribute to the legends that you guys are, we decided to follow suit, make this a thing, and we all showed up with our vests.
I love it.
And we're ready to rock.
I love it. You know what they say, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery.
It all started right here with this, guys.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Feel free to just go through this and
Find a winner.
if you find something that you like I like number 4. This one's pretty fire. So, I might write this one down in the book.
One of the most important things about pheno hunting is keeping the genetic alive. I mean, we end up only keeping 0.001% of the stuff that we pheno hunt.
Like the etiquette, what's it like? Are we, running up and grabbing the buds? Or how do you act when you get to someone's place to check the turfs?
Generally, you never want to grab a bud. People squeezing my bud. What are you smashing my buds for, bud? Taking the sugar leaf and rubbing the trichomes off of the sugar leaf and smelling that's a great way to get the nose. Or if you're at one of the farms we're going to, they're all cool. You can just go in, take a little bee bud. No one's gonna use that anyway anymore, and give it a little squeeze.
Genius.
And then smell it that way. That way you get a much more accurate, more robust nose to it. And then you hand it to your friend.
And then you hand it to your friend.
I hate that.
Yeah.
But by the end of the day, with that, you'll wind up having ash on the end of your nose. We call it breeder's nose. And then in between plants, when you are smelling them, like especially where there's so many different varieties, a really great way to neutralize your nose is to smell your skin.
Oh.
Because that's what you smell like to yourself. So it's a way to kind of get back to your base level. Like coffee works really good. Yeah. That's what a lot of people use. But when it's more subtle smells, honestly, your skin works better. Yeah, Pheno Hunt 2024, Humboldt, living it up.
Checking out all these different strains and seeing what are the best ones, but I feel like it's kind of a personal thing. It's like what you really like and what you gravitate to.
We're hunting together, but it still feels like such a personal experience. Like, you have different preferences, I have different preferences.
Who knows which lady she likes?
Who knows?
Yeah.
The perfect amount of fruit and gas. Like, you could just eat it.
It's good, right? There's so many good ones in here. We've been taking notes, doing our ratings, and who knows, maybe one of these will make it into something.
We've seen just the tip of the iceberg.
There's definitely standout strains, so much more to see.
This is the Granny Candy, and this was bred about a month and a half ago. 2/3 of this chamber is our selected Granny Candy clone, and then 1/3 of the chamber are Granny Candy seeds. So cool. This is the clone that we selected 2 years ago of Granny Candy. That Luke at Turp Mansion is in love with this one. He's doing a ton of this. This is just a seed of Granny Candy. And so you can see we're doing pretty well with like making homozygous lines or uniform lines.
They look good.
What we're going for in this chamber is it being identical to our top selected clone. And there's clones all along the outside. These are all clones.
It looks identical.
It looks identical, but it only got an 8 because if you go in, there's more identical looking ones in there.
We were just saying we want to grow this when we get back.
Well, no seeds. Yes.
We got him.
To actually advance a strain further down the line of zygosity or uniformity or purebred, you need to be doing seed to seed to seed to seed. That's the only way to do that, actually. So you can't do that if you just always breed the same clone again and again and again. This is at least a month after you would harvest these buds for flower. And that's so that we can get these beautiful things. And this one is close to being mature. So you can kind of see the difference and why we leave the seeds there so long to allow them to mature, because we want to get the most and the best seeds out of our breeding efforts as possible. So this is actually being pollinated right now. We're in the Blueberry Muffin chamber. I think we created Blueberry Muffin originally in around like 2012, and I've just been working it ever since. This is Blueberry Muffin number 4, and the sex has been reversed so we can make feminized seed. This plant, which has the morphology of a female plant, but the sex organs of a male plant. The plants look rough because it's a rough process. Reversing the plant's sex is not what it's used to doing. These are anthers that you see here, and then inside those anthers,
See it.
is Blueberry Muffin pollen. See that pollen poofing out there?
Oh wow, yeah.
It's difficult because we have to enclose them. We have to keep it like hermetically sealed.
Oh, we call that the pollen rocket.
And we can officially say we've helped make the Blueberry Muffin
Yeah,
legacy continue.
Amazing.
Part of this project is advancing from like S3 and beyond. So Selfie is taking Blueberry Muffin number 4 pollen and putting it on Blueberry Muffin number 4 flowers. Like clone on clone. And it doesn't ever happen in nature because cannabis is one of 6% of the plant kingdom that does not hook itself in nature. So, excuse my French, cannabis in nature never mates with itself because it's a dioecious plant, meaning that the male is one plant and the female is another plant.
You can't even see through nothing.
Let's get out of here.
We just went through the Blueberry Muffin breeding chamber. Matt took us through. Absolutely awesome to see how it's done.
Yeah, I've actually never seen the process before. It's very fascinating, and
how they do it. And man, did it smell like blueberries in there
I know,
too.
I smell like a straight up blueberry.
It's so wild. After a long day in the field, pheno hunting and learning with everyone, we all headed back down to the farmhouse for a very special dinner.
We're here on the Salmon River. I'm with one of my best friends, Sammy Jinsaw, and I've known Sammy for like 20 years. We've been working on dam removal together since the beginning of the idea of fixing up the Klamath River.
Both of us are fields related so closely to salmon and protecting these places. It created like the perfect opportunity to form a nonprofit organization that we call Nature Rights Council. And through that, I'm the program director of the Ancestry Guard.
My name is Samuel Jensaw III. I come from the village of Requa.
I don't believe in a mythical existence. I believe from the banks of the Klamath River to the intricate dance of subatomic particles, the universe unfolds in patterns of interconnectedness that my ancestors have understood for generations. I call it Aya Alekasha. We focus on dam removal, indigenous reciprocity building, and most importantly, food security and food sovereignty within our ancestral territory. And that kind of was a special linking point between Natty P and myself too, because that's something we both have in common, is our love for food and our love for gardening and plants. This collaboration between fishermen and farmers allows us to provide services to families in a wholesome package. So not only can we provide salmon for families, now we can also provide vegetables to go along with that. And kind of building healthy opportunities for our people is something that we find common ground on. And especially being a part of a river community, whether you're farming or whether you're fishing or just living, one thing that everybody becomes accustomed to is that we have a responsibility to take care of this place so we can continue to live a good life and live this lifestyle that we all enjoy. And if we don't come together and try to create solutions, then we will always face the same problems again and again. And like never before, we're creating a collaboration between fishermen and farmers to produce for the people of the community.
People are always amazed that we, with the Undam the Klamath, accomplished the world's largest river restoration project, the world's largest dam removal project.
The largest dam removal project in the nation's history, which came as part of a national movement to return rivers to their natural flow. The Klamath River dam removal was completed, marking a major victory for the local tribes.
Hundreds of people that came together, but that amazing activism that came together to fix rivers here, we actually did take that message around the world. In 2014, we went to the Amazon.
We've had youth go all the way to Chile. We've had youth go to Canada, all across the United States, and help set up cultural exchanges to identify communities that are facing the same problems that we're facing. We've sacrificed so much to be standing along the banks of an undammed Klamath. And the fight has just begun, because now the focus is on restoration and making sure that our people can live out these healthy opportunities in a space that continues to provide.
You guys are now for the first time on an undammed Klamath River. I don't know if Matt told you guys, but yeah, just years and generations of fighting. And so now you guys will be able to eat fish from the undammed Klamath River, and it'll be the first time we've had the ability to cook fish for the group from undammed river too. So it's all just fresh and it's just new and rolling together, growing in this river system together. So everything that you guys are doing and everything Nats have done for us in the past, it's all connected. You know, indigenous people in this area have always been a part of the weed scene since the very beginning, you know what I mean? It's like nowadays we're just getting into that space where we can openly say we have friends in the marijuana industry and it's open. So you guys are all part of that process in history now. Even though maybe legalized, it's still coming out a little bit. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate you guys coming and breaking those boundaries and, you know, setting the right example. And hopefully we can help in any way and we'll dish you guys up some tasty fish.
Hope you like salmon too. Salmon. Eating salmon. I want to eat salmon too.
Hearing Sammy and Nat's story about how they became friends through their community and worked together to strengthen their community was truly inspiring. Working together and making a difference is something we should all strive for. From the smallest acts of kindness, love and lifelong friendships are made. And from our own little online community of friends and home growers, we wanted to give back to show our appreciation and thank you for the amazing hospitality and welcoming us all like family.
Hey Sammy, Jean-Luc, we got a surprise for you guys over here.
You may think of AC Infinity as just another grow equipment company, but no other company we have ever seen gives back to the community as much as they do.
Wow, oh my God, you guys.
On behalf of the team from AC Infinity, we heard about what you guys are doing for your community and all across the nation. You guys are doing some phenomenal stuff for the natives, for anybody. We'd like to present you guys with some gear to help you guys along with your journey.
These kits are going to be great for going microgreens or whatever you guys like. We got fans, lights that are controllable with power to completely flower out this thing. We have exhaust fans, filters for air purifying if you want to cut down on what smells or anything. You can control everything from the controller here. So you can not only dial in your lights, the power, the fans, the exhaust speed. It will help you maintain your temperatures and humidity on its own. Everything you need, and it can all be controlled through here. You guys can pull it up from your phone, see, check on the stats, check on your humidity trends, and really kind of dial in your growth for whatever you guys might try and grow it.
I feel like I just signed up for a mission to Mars.
Yeah.
Right? This thing is amazing.
It's pretty simple. If you guys need any help setting up, definitely reach out to us. We'll be happy to show you, but it works great.
And I really appreciate you guys coming and kind of doing that crossover in these sectors. What's really not available is kind of the infrastructure for developing food systems that can hold off on people and create kind of that economy as we had before. One step at a time, one seed at a time. It's going to allow us to showcase to the rest of not only our tribe, but people all around Northern California and all around other indigenous areas to kind of take that step forward into growing spaces indoors and seeing what those kind of opportunities bring. I'm also might have to run around a humble seed company, Autoflower.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate what you do, man. Keep killing it, dude. Love you, bud.
Dude, man, this is awesome. This is over here. Oh my God.
Since we've been here, I've never felt so welcome. You have done nothing but give us real hope. Like, we've never seen hospitality like this in our lives. We're so happy to be able to give back to you.
We want to thank AC Infinity, all the folks that came along on this journey. A lot of people think that cannabis is just about making money, but we have made it about giving back. Make it good, make it give back, make the world a better place, because I think that's what it's all about. Much appreciation to those of you out there that are making cannabis make the world better.
This adventure has been unbelievable, but the journey was far from over. So we packed up our bags and said goodbye to the Sandy Bar Ranch. Our next stop, Garberville. We are going to meet up with Jason from Ridgeline Farms.
And on our way, we got to take a little detour through the Avenue of Giants to check out the redwoods. We didn't have much time to explore, but don't worry, we'll get to check that out later. Cannabis cultivation in the Garberville area dates back to the 1970s and 1980s. During this period, small family-run farms started growing high-quality cannabis, and due to its remote location, it helped those early farmers avoid detection from law enforcement. Garberville itself became a key service area for the marijuana hub trade.
If there is such a place as ground zero for marijuana production in the U.S., it might just be Garberville, California.
During that time, the town's population swelled as cannabis farming provided income and jobs for the locals. It was a time when Garberville was flourishing. With the money made from the illicit cannabis market, that money was going right back into the community and local businesses, helping strengthen the local economy.
Man, the first time I went to Garberville was the mid-70s, but it was just starting to get ahead of steam then when the fall time would be trimmers. By the
Hello. Babe, how are you, baby? I miss you. I love you. How are you?
I watched it evolve over the years, but now it's just changed. Since it's legal, you don't need to hide anymore.
So
Oh, you're beautiful. I love you. I miss you.
It's unnecessary and it's too expensive. The price went from 5,000 to 6,000 a pound down to 300 to 400 a pound. So a lot of people have left the area. It's only the hardcore people that are really embedded here that have a community that is still here growing, and they're really growing. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
When legends meet right here, dude, this is fucking dope. We're ready for this.
Ridgeline, are you ready?
So fun.
We just got up and Jason from Ridgeline, had a little lunch.
Oh, I'm in love.
Head down to the farm, but where are we stopping first, Joe? Huckleberry Farms. Stop there, then Ridgeline, so it's gonna be dope, guys. Let's go.
So we are gonna go to one of the all-time legends of Southern Humboldt, Johnny Casale's farm, Huckleberry Hill Farms.
Yeah, my arm's better, baby.
Is a legend. He's a mentor. He's a really good friend.
It might not be able to see it, but it's better.
Was one of the biggest busts ever to come out of here in my childhood, and I'll never forget it. It was probably the biggest bust at that time. This is the legend. There he is. The legend.
When I was 24, I had 30 federal agents drop in my driveway, held a gun to my head, searched the place. Could have gotten more time if I would have cooperated. That's the goal of the federal government, is to get these guys to cooperate, and then we get the big fish. I grew up in a community that we all trusted each other with our lives, and I had to really evaluate who I was as a person and how I was raised by my family. And it was the single most best decision I ever made in my life, and it wasn't easy by any means. Never been in any trouble before, and long story short, we was born for over 4 years.
How are you, baby? So glad you're here.
Which was my
What are you up to, baby?
10 years to life in prison and got 10
Miss
years.
you.
It's my story, but it could have happened to any one of my friends at any time, and they made an example out of us. So I think it's those kind of stories and those kind of sacrifices that the world needs to know. And when I rolled up here after 2,000 days being gone, I had 50 people from this community here for me when I got back, and they brought me things like silverware, plates, things that we all take for granted, right, that had gotten stolen or I had lost in the time I was gone. And then my really, really close friend, Tro, brought me the genetics that I used to grow with my mom that he kept in his garage for over 8 years. And he brought me this Paradise Punch. Since my mom passed away when I was jailed, here's a picture of my mom and I. Here's a picture when she came to visit me in jail. Really wanted to honor her and breed everything that I have here growing on the farm to Paradise Punch. So everything is bred to a strain I used to grow with my mom when I was 10. Amazing. Now, this is my family home. This is where I grew up on, so I've been here for 50 years. Wow. Yeah, so you'll see all the nameplates on the planter boxes, and those are all people in my life or Rose's life that really we wanted to honor, that made it possible for us to be here. And up here on the top, you'll see a place called Farmer's Mountain, and there's logos and sentences from other farms in the Emerald Triangle. Always wanted to highlight them because the one saying that still rings true today is it's never going to be about one of us, and it's always going to be about all of us. How do we advance all of us together? So
Yeah, baby, I'm feeling quite a bit stronger today, thank goodness.
But I think we should walk, understand that most of everything is talk. It looks like,
Oh my
right
gosh.
now, this is the worst time to live the farm.
Still sweat a bit at night, but
You don't need acres and acres, right? Small.
Whitethorn Rose, just absolutely full of color. Huckleberry killing it out here.
Yes.
And just a story behind
sheer
it.
size of the buck, and this is the smaller.
Just the beautiful curves. Look at the nuts, just in the sun.
Smells in here are incredible.
Whitethorn Rose really was created from a strain I used to grow with my mom when I was 10, right? It's something different, something unique.
And I get it. I get it, bro. It's ridiculous. No wonder the whole world's talking about this stuff right now, bro. It's not only beautiful, but the terps are there. But hey, get away from these.
Oh my God, that's really cool. This is really deep, really resonant, and really thick.
thick, heavy bud.
Did a study with Columbia University, found out that white thorn rose in particular has 60 different terpenes and 444 different cannabinoids. The huge advantage of growing the white thorn rose that starts harvesting September 15th, I can avoid the weather. It cuts my growing season from 6 months into 4 months, and it really allows me to maybe have a light weight.
And it washes great, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a 6 to 7% to wash and then 80% to rosin return, and it's just something different and unique. It's really cool, especially with Jason's Lance and the white thorn rose and some of these new cultivars that we've bred is really the pathway forward for a small farmer at this point. I truly believe if you're not highlighting legacy genetics and something different than the rest of the world has, I think most of us are doing.
It's amazing this new modern
Oh, what is it? It's the same baby. Super pink. Super pink, my love. Like those flowers on those emotes that you use.
Collaboration is key, and doing things together is key.
If we're not careful, if Jason's not out there yelling and telling stories about his neighbors and his friends and his community, the industry's going to believe what the money gets to tell them, right? So we can't compete with Glass House, but White Thorn Rose sure can, or Lance sure can. And it's been the savior for our farm, and with that now, we did a cross together, right? Lance crossed with White Thorn Rose, and just did a test wash, and 6.4% to the wash. And just like it's going to be a double flower, so we're going there. You're good. I'm taking that White Thorn Rose bud that you see right there. No down. I'm grabbing a few in the morning, tomorrow morning, bringing it to my green network and iPop so that you guys can walk around and smell.
White Thorn Rose was just something like I've never smelled or seen before, and he told us the whole story behind it, and it has some great meaning, and it's definitely a special strain. It keeps him close to the best. It's part of the reason why he can sustain his farm, because he's found something unique that no one else has, and I think that's really special. I think that's awesome.
If you come to Southern Humboldt and don't meet Johnny, you're missing out, because when you saw his farm, you definitely could tell he thought about it differently, right? Way differently than other people. It was way more about the plan than it was about the money.
It's absolutely awesome. Beautiful spot, amazing story. It's just award-winning cannabis. We heard he's going to bring these flowers down to Hall of Flowers this weekend, so we're going to be there.
Can't wait to try those.
It's going to be wild, but we just got done with the tour here. We're going to go check out Ridgeline, and that's what's coming up next.
Yeah, I'm coming from the bottom, but I'm rising to the top. Had a hustle every day, I ain't never gonna stop. From the shadows to the spotlight, I'm shining.
Just a fucking tent, man. You don't even need that much room at all.
We just pulled up the Ridgeline, the mixed light farm, so we're going to check it out, see how they do sun-grown with lighting.
Yeah, it looks like Jason's got a lot of really cool stuff going on right now. He's got some small batches and some supplemental lighting. I'm so excited to see what he's got going on.
Let's take a look.
This is the blueberry caviar. This is the one for Woody Harrelson.
I think this one's special. Wow, that's really good type, but this weed right here looks better than 95% of the indoor. That's all mixed light, dude.
Taste is great. Terpenes make you sneeze. It's fucking great.
Blueberry caviar would be fire.
Something like that. That's the best of the best.
So they crossed the Lance crossed into the Great Gas.
Woody Harrelson strain. Look at this. Blueberry caviar.
What's that? Beautiful flowers I've ever seen.
When I got my first home when I was 20, I had my 2 little lights and trying to block the smell from outside. It was super ghetto little room. Eventually it went from a 2-lighter to a 4-lighter. So yeah, home grow for sure. I'd rather do less and make it way more beautiful and be proud of what I'm creating. It means everything to me, like if I don't like it, it will not go out on the shelves. I think it's one of the saddest things these days. I feel like it's really, quantity over quality.
This is my baby. This is going to be the next winner of all winners. And this is the blackberry caviar right here. If you smell it, you'll smell it's just great. What's amazing about this strain is it actually smokes like it smells. I wish I had a butter now to give you guys. And this was, when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, if this smokes, this is the one. This is the one.
You guys can smell this. This is the one that Eric's gonna have to take a shot of.
The mixed light blackberry caviar. Blackberry caviar is a brand new one, so I was really excited to see that.
Look at these guys. Baby! Good, bro.
We're gonna take this cut here. This is a blackberry caviar. This is probably gonna be a winner in the upcoming Emerald Cup. And Eric Nugshot is gonna take a video photo of this, stack it. You're gonna see how beautiful this girl is.
Here's baby. I wish you were here to share, baby. See how purple it is? You see how purple that flower is, baby? That's like, you can tell that's high grade.
You're just holding the terps. I don't know, you keep saying, but something about the terps come out of this a whole nother level. It's like, and I feel that it's not getting baked by the sun because we have such thick plastic, maybe. You know, you're getting the extra light when, you know, it's a cloudy day out or something like that, so you always have the right amount of light also. So it's just keeping them perfect. It's kind of cool. You're actually going to get to see it in this form, and then you're going to see it at my house in the sun-grown form.
These are probably the most beautiful flowers.
Oh, I love hearing that. Why I bought this farm with my partner there was so I could have some mixed light. I've been growing sun-grown my whole life, but there's something about the terps around here. I freaking tried, I could not get the same terps out of sun-grown.
The ridgeline is amazing. The mixed light is by far the most impressive stuff that we've seen so far. Just looking at all the strains, the lance.
Blueberry caviar.
Blueberry caviar, just amazing. By far the best flowers. Jason's doing it right. He's definitely onto something with the mixed.
After checking out Jason's amazing mixed light setup, we were now headed back to his house to check out his sun-grown.
I love the plant. I know what the plant has done for this community, for me, my family. I mean, I owe the plant everything. One of my main things that I want out of this was to be able to help other people. By doing that, you know, let's say come up with a strain like Lance, you know, and being able to get other friends, they could grow it. It represents Humboldt, represents Southern Humboldt, represents this community. So all of that together is just, you know, that was always been my dream, is if I could keep helping this community that needs us, man. It's on our shoulders. It's on Johnny's.
That's a good question.
It's an honor.
Stream elements. Let me. So I think with that you need a tilde. Let me help you. So I have some bots, but I don't have every bot. So what I do is I have a tilde. So watch this. I'm gonna write tilde space. Here we go.
Their restaurants, they built their daycare centers, they built their grocery stores, they built everything off the community, which is all based on this. It's falling apart now.
Stream elements.
So you go and say,
letting us down.
If this shit's not from up here by these guys.
AI, we need to boost AI's self-confidence, man. Like that was some like me. That was really low.
Just pulled up to ridgeline, the main outdoor.
Like AI can't be a.
View off the patio. This is the smoke
Like what is going on with AI here? Let's ask Z's. Let's ask the same question, babe. Let's ask Z's. So the guy in the photo here, this guy right here, that guy, this guy, it's like this. This guy. We'll ask him because we have a Z's bot.
How did you come out even more purple?
Well, it's the one I picked. It's different.
Sweet, eh?
Pumping that iron, flexing the mirror, staying savage. We rise by lifting others and weights. Yeah. Yes. Yes, C's. Yes. Like exactly.
If you want to hear Jason's answer, you're going to have to go watch Joe's video on Basement Grow Show on YouTube. That's one of the beautiful things about this trip, is we all have different perspectives and different stories. So make sure to give Joe's video a watch. I'm sure if you enjoy ours, you'll love his.
It smells exactly like Skittles, like not even fucking kidding. Oh my god, suck my and serve me a milkshake.
This is the blackberry caviar in the early form, sun-grown, right here. What you guys looked at, sun-grown, how different it is.
So we just seen the same one at the mix, and look at the difference now on the outdoor.
You know, it's funny. You would look at it and say it's different, but it's so close to the same too, man. To get this quality outdoors, it's outrageous, bro.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Only grown enough to where you can actually look at everything. You saw at my farm, it's 9,600 square feet. It's big to some. To me, it's perfectly manageable. It's not that big. I can do it with me and my buddy.
Having a farm this size that I can manage by myself with one other guy, we're here every day looking at it, you know, giving each plant love.
And now finding all the strains, you know, crossing strains, looking for the right ones. Doing all this with my dad, you know, and it's, he's definitely taught me a lot, especially with all the breeding and everything. And he's proud of it, you know, and you know, I'm still to this day doing crosses with my dad. Pretty amazing. And no, I never thought I'd be winning awards. I never thought I'd be in Forbes. You know what I mean? And all these high times. I mean, high times was something we all just looked at, you know, as kids and tripped out.
He's like, the robber! Robber! So there is a little on this side, a little mixing the runts, but like the middle is all just robbers. So just give you a little look at it.
But everything is just bangers though. Like there's no flower that I'm like, eh.
Oh man, look at these buds. I can't believe it. Oh.
Wow.
All I can say.
The property here at Jason's farm is beyond, like I've said incredible so many times, but like literally it's the only word that can come to my mouth. But also not only the flowers, not only the hospitality.
Solidness from Jason. Ridgeline Rose. We're popping out the rigs.
Not only the views, but the community here and the passion for the plant and what it has brought their community. It's amazing.
It's really interesting to see how every farm we've been to is so tightly knit with the community around here, and how they all really depend on each other to help self-sustain, and how it's really, really hard for a lot of them to keep growing at a profit and be sustainable. And I think Jason's a perfect example of somebody doing it right, not only with the outdoor garden that we've seen here, which is absolutely incredible, and then what they're doing with the mixed light, which I think was
wild,
super amazing to have
those
that.
flowers.
Yeah, wow, they're impressive all around. But we're wrapping up our thing here. The sun's going down on the ridge line. We got some pizzas back at the house.
We're gonna go catch a sweet sunset from Ridgeline Farm.
We said our goodbyes to Johnny and Jason in Garberville, but this journey was far from over. Our next stop, Mendocino County, home of the inspiring legends who mix their dope farming with their dope music.
Mendocino County is like no other place. We are unique. You know, to drive through town, roll your window down, you can smell pot everywhere, and you call it as you drive through town. That would just be shit.
This man don't know, man, we rollin' too deep. Use my tongue to pick pieces and shoot from my teeth. Home of the red tail, drinking from
Okay, so to start,
the aromatics and a $40 set.
I guess it's time to start lifting, my love. We can't just sit around smoking. We can't just do that. We gotta actually like do the action now. Thanks for being here, babe. I love that you're here, my love.
Flower pots together on like hanging from the top like awning thing. The plant ended up growing a nice little mini-sized plant. Found a plant on top there, keeping it. And it was like a couple ounces probably, that little plant. 2 or 3 ounce plant. That was our first one.
Nice to meet you. What's up, man? Neil, nice to meet you. Kevin? Nice to meet you.
Oh, man. Glad to meet you. Good.
How you doing?
Really good.
Nice. Happy to have you out here.
Yeah, thanks. It's nice to be here.
It's a beautiful spot. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going tonight?
So here we are at the Mendo Dope Boys here today. You know, you guys have a course going on tomorrow, right?
Yes, we do.
So what are some of the things that we're going to be able to dive through today and learn and get a little sneak peek of what's going on?
Well, like a lot of stuff we do is really organic, no-till style. So we do like a lot of just like very basic organic style where we're not doing any digging or any kind of crazy. We're not doing pots or anything. It's all on the ground, lasagna layers, just building up from the ground up.
We are real natural. We like to say we like to team up with nature. We do like live in soil, organic, no-till, We like to build our soils. We don't like to disturb soil is what we like to say too. Like we're trying to help sequester carbon out here through these plants that we're using, through our cover crops that is helping aerate our soil, that's feeding our soil. We're just really natural style. We want to try to make it back to like redwood forest style, where things are happening just in a loop of just nature is doing most of it. And we're here to guide it along and find these certain things to do, but we like to just keep it really chill style and really natural.
A very special year to be here too, because we know it was a big one for you boys at the Emerald Cup.
Yes,
right?
It was.
Yeah, so we're going to check out some of the Emerald Cup winners and kind of get some tips on what it takes to win an Emerald Cup. You know, you boys had a really good one this year.
We got first place, personal sun-grown. We got the overall best in show with the same Petty's flower. And we got third place for the personal solventless entry with Pesbro.
And then the high terps for the gas category with that same flower.
Yeah.
Congratulations. The main attraction is Pheno hunting with Mendo Dope Boys. We got a bunch of their genetics here, some Humboldt Seed Company genetics here.
That's like granny candy, huh? Holy shit.
More sticky resin on them.
Very terpy.
Super terpy.
Oh yeah.
Some of these spots right here are just like really glistening and nice. Like
It's got that soft, fuzzy style trichome too. It's like
like slick. Is that what makes them right? Some are like slick.
some of the fuzziest ones are slicker most of the time.
Really?
Yeah. It's like so terpene rich. It's just like
so much oil.
Yeah. The wet fingertip on it.
this one's pretty cool. Pretty cool bud structure.
If I just use the nose technique he does, I don't get the full smell. I need to like really play with it. So then I'll like switch fingers. I'll do this finger on a strain, then I'll do this one. I'll go to this finger so I can keep it new. When I run out of fingers, I'll use the back of my hand sometimes and just graze. I like these though. The Granny Candy's been looking really dope.
Good producers.
Yeah, good producers. They get chunky too, even down to the bottoms on these ones.
Yeah.
Like most of them have quite like solid buds for the bottoms. Like.
And pretty resistant, huh? Like, what, if anything, what do you guys deal with as far as like pests or problems? Is it?
It's everything, but this year's everything's been under control. Right now, in general, if I look here, there's the thrips. There's the main thing, right? For some reason, thrips normally aren't up here, but this year we had some. And it's like a lot, all the time we're battling different bugs every year, from russet mites or spiders or aphids. Like it seems like every year there's some kind of different infestation. It rolls to the next. Like now it's this bug's turn. Now it's this bug's.
What kind of treatments do you guys use? Just like organic stuff, or?
I mean, mainly like our go-to spray that we do all the time is plant therapy. Like when we're in early stages, especially for like russet mites, like sulfur is like one that we spray at the early stage. That really is like the one thing that will totally wipe out russets instantly. Gone.
But looking good, eh? Like nothing major on anything.
What are some of the ones that impressed you here, Joe?
Realistically, it's hard to pick so far.
So
we haven't gone through the whole lineup.
We got so
What I do like is two brothers having fun, trapping some of the best cannabis in the Emerald Triangle, and it's right here under my nose, and my fingers are sticky, my nose is sticky, but my heart is so full, man, so full.
Not only have they proved themselves in the garden, winning multiple Emerald Cups this year, their passion flows through their music as well.
I'm really loving how you mix your art. That's something super unique to you guys.
Hell yeah, thank you.
And one of the reasons why we actually were very excited to come out here is it's just as good as the flower.
When you have flower that's good, it inspires you to make good art on the other side. It's this full circle that we do. We're out in the garden working, coming up with ideas. We bring it to the studio and start recording things, smoking on the flowers from the garden. It's just like intertwined everything from the beginning of music and farming.
When we started growing too, we started doing music at the same time. During the whole time the season's going, we're in the studio a lot, just like making song after song. It's been like trimming and making music, and in the trim room thinking about songs, and going to the studio making music, and we were always like torn between if we do garden time, we do studio time, and then we started to bring the studio out in the garden.
This is why we growing, this is why we growing. First off, I don't support corporations. I'm a local Mendo farmer growing my personal medication.
It all feeds each other, yeah. The more we grow and the more we get to enjoy different flavors, and it inspires different things in our minds, and just gets real creative out here for sure. It's in our zone, this is like, it's so perfect for us because we love growing, we love music, so to bring our studio into the garden was like so dope, and it's just like, okay, this is where it's at right here.
strictly cannabis culture music.
Catered towards the ganja farming community, the patients, the plant, you know, the people that are about this plant, this culture that we live in.
So quick to have us pill popping. It's a money scheme. They don't want us using green. They don't get no cut off someone selling dank to you and me. I know I'm brutally honest, but I keep it real, saying chemicals kill and cannabis heals. That's why we grow. And this is why we grow. Why we grow. Why we grow. Why we grow. Singing out why we grow. Why we grow. This is why.
After a morning of pheno hunting, it was time for lunch. Cody, part owner of the farm, and there every step of the way throughout its growth, is also the owner of the Mendo local Taste Buds restaurant. He and his team were there cooking up an amazing vegan spread.
All vegan. All vegan. Everything's all vegan.
Your beauty, brother. Thank you.
Delicious. Thank you
Good
so
weed,
much.
good food. Wow. Got bread toasted for the jackfruit sandwich. There's enough toasted. Jackfruit here. There's some bread, guys. We'll keep it coming. What do these do? Dumplings, brother. Dumplings. It's just like mama's home cooking. It's just good food.
The food was delicious and healthy, just what we needed to fuel up and hit the field to check out the 2024 Emerald Cup winning strain.
So here, boys, we have the infamous, what we've been seeing on social media nonstop and really curious about. This is all the headies here?
Yes,
it is. Can you give us a little history on the headies, how this came to be? Because this was the Emerald Cup.
And number one personal homegrown category. We're very happy to announce this Mendo Go.
And this means so much to us right now. We've been coming to the Emerald Cup for a long time. To finally get the first place flower, it means a lot to us. We want to say rest in peace to our brother Nick Fox. That's where we got this strain from.
A few years ago, one of our good friends of ours passed away. He had a garden growing at his house. His parents wanted us to come check out the garden and see how it was doing, see when they would be ready to harvest. And one of the hoops that he had, he was working on some different breeding projects. Unknown to us, we didn't know what was going on. One of the plants Brian found, actually, in particular, he found it out in there and was like, man, this is really special looking. Let's keep an eye on it. So about a week or maybe two goes by and they call us back and they say that the garden got raided. Someone came in and pretty much just took most of the whole garden. And then we were looking through the plants, and in that greenhouse, that special plant that Brian saw, it was snipped down to the stem where there was only 2 branches with buds left on it. And we're like, man, this thing is so special, looks so good. Like let's take this branch, cut it, and see if we can get it to root and come back to life. And we brought it back to life, and we grew it inside our indoor room for another test. And it just blew us away. We're like, holy crap, this is so special. Such a crazy gas strain. Over the years, we've always been hunting out gas strains, and with our friend who passed away, like we loved Kush strains. We loved finding like really tasty, exquisite, good weed, and like that's where the name Headies even came from. Like when he would have good weed, he'd always be like, yo, I got some Headies, guys, let's come over, let's session, let's try this out. So that's where the name evolved from.
And then the Emerald Cup win just happened. And then we're on the High Times cover with the strain too. So it's like the strain is getting good promotion right at this crazy weird time. And as we've already loved it, people are starting to get to know it and they're loving it too. It's so cool.
He's looking down, man, for sure. He's looking down, just loving you guys growing his cannabis.
So even without the cup win, you know, this strain has already meant so much to us, but now with that carrying behind it, I know like it's such a proud moment, like to carry his legacy on with us, to keep his memory around.
And his dad and his sister are so stoked too, and they're so like blown away after the cup.
Well, respect, boys, for keeping that legend alive.
For
The
sure.
Headies is uplifting in more ways than one.
Yeah, it's for sure. Good vibe when you smoke it. It's really stony, but also at the same time super creative too. And it just grows really naturally by itself. Doesn't need to be topped. It just does its wide thing. Like we top plants every plant. This is one plant we don't top.
No, these aren't topped at all.
Yeah,
no way.
You don't just breed for numbers, right? Because it's like, you guys really believe in that much? Like, is it the numbers?
No, not potency-wise.
Not like this is.
What is this one coming at?
This is 2930.
Yeah, it's the blend of everything. It's the terpenes, the THC, CBD, CBGs, everything intertwined that makes the difference in something that makes it a really good overall flower. Like, it's all, yeah, for sure. It's our mission. You know, we have to keep the culture alive, no matter how these big corporations and people come in and try to take out farms all over the place, and the game's making it harder for farmers to survive and stay in it.
it's like it makes it like really, it's our responsibility to try to motivate people and inspire them through our music to like keep on going at it, to stand your ground. This is why we grow, you know, like this is what we do this for.
So as a little token of gratitude for letting us come out here, check out some of your guys' amazing work, showing us a little slice of the Emerald Triangle. We wanted to give you guys a few little gifts. Again, nothing's gonna beat this experience, but a patch for you legends. We definitely most certainly consider you guys legends here in the Triangle.
Very cool.
What you guys are doing is amazing. The content, just everything from the plants to the creativity, it's really inspirational for us to see. So thank you guys for letting us come by.
Brother. That's badass.
We also wanted to present you a map of our travels of the Doughboys, definitely.
Excited to announce that we're taking the Pheno Hunt global. We've been, hunting in California, Oklahoma, Michigan, Florida for the past few years, and this year we're really excited to kind of to branch out overseas. So, right now we're in Antigua. We got an amazing Pheno Hunt lined up here to go check out some Rastafarian Sacramento grows, where we've been developing a genetic specifically for the growing conditions of the Caribbean, try to help with the sustainability aspect of growing here and just simplifying the need of the genetics to thrive in an environment like this.
Caribbean Queen.
This is the Caribbean Queen here?
Yeah, the whole field.
The whole field,
It looks pretty uniform, and the genetics going to be homozygous, and the expression, the light density, the frost appeal is there. Looks great too, yeah.
It's like we're not kind of trying to superimpose genetics that we do well in California. So we're like, oh, you guys should grow, blueberry muffin or all gas OG, which is great. And people should definitely grow it, but actually coming to a space, trying to learn about the constraints of the space and the situation, and then bring the proper genetics that would apply best, that we think would actually thrive in this place. So not kind of superimposing our beliefs or our ideas on it, but actually listening to the plant and listening to the people that are working with the plant and just trying to do the best we can. I think it really shines in this field, which is super low key up in the bushes of Antigua.
So here's the story of bringing ancient genetics back home and pheno hunting for a better future in Antigua and Barbuda.
It's like a call to bring everybody together.
Smoke flavor is nice,
The regular people can't reach to them. Good morning, guys. So we got in super late last night to Antigua, Barbuda, where we're gonna kick off the 2024 Pheno Hunt. Kind of had a random happenstance come up with our friend Dr. Michelle Emmanuel from the University of the West Indies, and so we took a trip down here. We're going to be checking out some of this pure sativa line that we've been working on for years, being grown by these Rastafarian farmers up in the hills here in Antigua. Beautiful country, super stoked to be here. The people have been amazingly nice and hospitable, and the food is amazing. All from Michelle. He was like, man, come down and check out this farm where we got, the pure sativa, and we're gonna be checking out this Rasta grow that is fully legal here in Antigua as of 2018, where they decriminalized cannabis for everyone and actually legalized cannabis cultivation for the Rastafarian church. So we're gonna be going up into the bush. Hopefully we have not too rough of a road getting up there. I don't think anyone really knows where the farm is at the moment, so it's gonna be an interesting ride.
The plan was to meet up with Dr. Michelle Emmanuel and get the history of the cannabis in the Caribbean.
All right, testing. 1, 2, 3. Right, so a cannabis, ganja, is a culture. So ganja is more than just a plant. It's a culture, it's a way of life. It's an expression of a people. Ganja cannabis wasn't something that was really popularized, although I always had the notion that ganja cannabis was in the Caribbean before the arrival of the indentured laborers. So I went to Kew Gardens some years ago and asked to look at the herbarium samples that were actually collected from Jamaica. And there were two samples that stood out from 1809 and 1822. So emancipation took place in 1845, where post that the indentured laborers came. But we saw a remarkable difference based on the morphological characteristics of the cannabis samples that were there post emancipation via prior. So prior, the thought is that these plants are pretty much hemp because the Spaniards introduced hemp to the Caribbean region in the 1600s for purpose of fiber to assist with repairing their sail ships, so on, via those long voyages. However, it was never something that really took root, so it was said the cannabis that the Spaniards brought, hemp particularly, came from Eastern Europe, particularly Eurasia, But fast forward, after the indentured laborers came, after close examination of these herbarium samples, we saw the presence of trichome glands, which definitely support that this plant now, the usage has slightly changed based on being a sort of therapeutic, medicinal, psychoactive plant that was used for those purposes, which it pretty much matches what the Asian culture and the Sadhus would have used cannabis for and would have brought it to this region to be able to practice their cultural freedom. And we can definitely see that infusion based on the names being used, but it's important to note that in Asia, cannabis is not really used with water as a filtration mechanism. That's an African tradition that was documented in Ethiopia some time before Christ, right? So it is interesting and sort of shocking to note that the Rastafari communal usage of ganja is used by a chillum pipe, which pretty much uses water. So that also signifies the African retention in terms of using other plant. But
Thank you, baby. You inspire me, my love.
Ganja, certain
Since day one, since the first one on Facebook, I remember 2020. You commented, you're like, oh wow, impressive. I remember the first one.
That pretty much
Love you, baby. I miss you, love you.
As a Caribbean region, as a sort of indicator species for ganja cannabis culture.
Before we made the trip to find the fields of the Land Race Preservation Cross, we had to see if we could find some local herb to see what it was like. What the locals call Wadadli. So I think we found our first local Wadadli here. Ben is talking to him.
Is it local? Local. And no seeds.
Which, interestingly enough, is the word they use for their island. So every time they're smoking a little bit of Wadadli, they're smoking a little bit of the island.
Script here, just anybody can have a little bit of herb.
It's 14 grams.
14
criminalized. So you can walk with 14 grams on.
And what happens if you get stopped with 14 grams?
They don't touch you.
Nothing.
The 14 grams is basically illegal per person.
Okay.
Each person can have 14. As long as you don't smoke it in public, then they don't.
Yeah.
Some police, some cops are wild.
What just went down there, though?
Good. So just scored a little piece of wadadi, the locals call it, a little piece of herb. First place we went, walked down to the beach, a couple of guys just kicking it, they were already drinking a couple of beers, and they had a little local grown. Found a couple of seeds in it. We definitely, stashed them away. They were stoked about it, but they were stoked on the whole situation. They were happy to talk about it. I'm sure they're kind of take on what was going on around here in the cannabis scene, but yeah, first smoke of the day, first toke here in Antigua.
There it is, dude.
It's definitely a little brown, but it's got a little terps left to it, a little bit of terpenoline kind of vibes to it. It's not the freshest, but it's Caribbean style for sure.
Good. Did you expect it for us to find the exact way?
That was really fast.
Right? It was time to make the journey and find the prophet Rohan in the fields of Caribbean Queen. How you doing, brother? Okay, here, I'm gonna throw it into your shirt here, bro.
You know that big open land that veggie newly push off on me, and I'm breathing. Travel around, so till when he meet me, it's just like this man, my reason and thing on it, you know?
Rohan was from the Rastafari mansion of Bobo Ashanti, also known as Bobo Shanti, and the Ethiopian African Black International Congress, EABIC.
Yeah, Rohan, you want to introduce yourself? Yeah, so give thanks again. Never give thanks to each and every one of us. Whether a person, a Rastaman, or is an ordinary person still, marijuana have a lot of influence on people still. But as to my personal feeling, it makes you have a lot of compassion, you know, it makes me have a lot of compassion towards humanity and even, you know, the earth itself. You know, it makes me have a lot of compassion because at times, you know, you would want to use the earth to get economical benefits still, but most times, even when you get money or anything at all, it might bring a little, you know, fuss between young people or even between yourself, but the herb always have the herb to relax you, you know, give a certain meditation, you see, certain inspiration, to that even EABIC still Detail Africa Black International Congress, you know, through the Divine Church of Salvation. We get the strength from even the church still, you know, sacramental rites, where we could grow medicinal cannabis without even, you know, too much interference, you know, so.
Here's our first stop for the 2024 Global Pheno Hunt, and we're here in Wadadli, aka Antigua, Barbuda. So yeah, we're here in Antigua, Barbuda. We're touring this beautiful Sacramento farm with our friend Prophet Rohan, who's been the heart and soul of this place, cultivating beautiful pure sativa plants. Our dear Dr. Michel Emmanuel from the University of the West Indies, who's been overseeing kind of our Humboldt Seed Company's genetic push into the Caribbean. And we're here with the CEO of the Cannabis Authority, and of course Jasmine from Humboldt Seed Company. Came all the way out here with us to check out these plants. So we've grown some of these in Northern California years ago, and we brought them down to the university where Michelle did a little magic with them, and now we're standing in a field of almost around 1,000 plants, and we're seeing some really cool phenotypes. We're going to go through and do an actual rating right now and try to find a unicorn. Yeah, it smells incredible out here. It's such an honor to be here.
You're seeing how there's a little bit more variation over here compared to on the other side.
One that speaks to them, and then talk about why you like that one so much. I know they're like babies. Yeah. You gotta like. I have one right here. Oh, which one? This one? That was the one? This one, yeah. Let's go check her out, man. Let's check out this one.
I should keep in our leaves and she look real, you know, skunky. You know, and those are sativa, she look real nice.
Yeah.
She's super stacked out.
Yeah, sure.
Like as far as like the bud structure, like she's just dense, no room for more.
Yeah, that's a unicorn right there.
And she's frosty.
Yeah, nice.
No, so what would you rate her as for vigor compared to everything else that we're seeing here? On one scale, 1 to 10.
Vigor, I give it like about an 8.
8 for vigor. And then what about for yield?
Yield? Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
We're gonna get. She's a unicorn. Okay.
Yeah, based on the way the buds full up that plant there. Yeah, for sure. Yield.
And what about smell? Can we give her a sniff? I'm curious to what you think about smelling her. No, I'm talking to you, bro.
What did she smell like to you?
Yeah, what did she smell like? Describe that.
She smell fruity.
fruity. What kind of fruit?
Spicy kind of aroma. Smelling some caryophyllene in there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of spice right in the front, which is really, really nice. Almost like a little toasted coconut maybe, or like coconut cream kind of vibe from it.
When they sort of roast with like coconut, you know?
Yeah, exactly like that, like kind of like a roasted nut.
Yeah.
This is the winner. This is the winner from the pure sativa line.
Still up for
Yeah. Yeah, but this is our number one for right now.
That they coming like that you call him man push.
Yeah man, smell that.
It's tough, man. It's tough. Wow.
Nice. And purple. And the natural little just split piece. We are applying modern breeding techniques to these landrace genetics that already perform really well down here, and what that's allowing is traditional farmers without a ton of infrastructure, a ton of capital, to be able to now compete in this licensed market where you have big investors coming down, big greenhouses, big smart pots, like just big everything, and the local folks can't compete with that. They can't compete with that kind of controlled environment, or that much input, or that much upfront financial input. And so by preserving these landrace genetics and modernizing them, creating the ability for the traditional farmer to now compete with larger outside investment farms.
We have definitely seen that based on the trichome density, we have seen where the density in terms of comparison to the original landrace, where landrace cultivars, the trichome density tends not to be as much dense, but we tend to see a different ratio based on the type of trichome shown. So in terms of landrace cultivars, we tend to see a lot more systolic trichome, those claw ones. But in terms of modernizing and increasing potency, we want to increase the level of capitate bulbous trichome.
Yeah, the pure sativa was born out of, my friend from Tobago was backpacking, just cutting through the bush, hiking one day up in the mountains, and came across this wild stand of ganja. And he's from the area. He knew that no one grew ganja up there anymore. And as far as he could figure, it was totally untaken. It wasn't taken care of. There was no water lines. It was just, wild. It had gone feral at that point. It was probably, something left over from a grow in the 70s or 80s where people were up in the bush, doing their thing. He went back a couple weeks later because the seeds weren't really ripe yet. Went back a couple weeks later, collected some ripe seeds from from the best plants that he saw in this field. And it wasn't even a field. It was just like on the side of this hill underneath, in the jungle, like underneath the canopy. So real rough looking weed. And he brought me back some seeds and it was a little salt shaker, but it was all full up with rice. And he's like, man, you gotta grow some of these. He's like, I don't know what they'll be, but man, it's just like these things were isolated. Like nobody's probably seen this kind of weed for forever, and no idea what it would have been. It could be something out of northern South America. It could be like Santa Marta Gold, Punta Roja original. It's just like that old world sativa. And so we grew it at our farm. I just did something small. I grew like 28 of them, but I grew 28 monsters. I was like, these things can get huge, and didn't harvest them until Christmas. I think it was after Christmas that those things came in. They weren't even close to finished. Went through, found the earlier flowering ones.
Yeah, of course. Do your thing, my darling. Thanks so much for being here again. You're really amazing,
Central
so
South
glad
American sativas, Caribbean sativas, they really have a very similar nose. It's really like high terpinolene dominant, kind of like an old train wreck haze. And I really wanted something more like, just like more like Caribbean vibe, more like tropical fruit. And so I was able to find this one was kind of like a little like rotten mango, pineapple vibe to it. It had decent structure, it had a lot of potential. to be something special. So wound up crossing the Stupid Fruits into it, a little of the Humboldt Dream, which are both, you know, real, very potent, almost, you know, 100% sativa plants. I really wanted to I didn't want to dilute the genetics into like a hybrid. I wanted to keep it very sativa, but I wanted to modernize it to a point where it would be a nice dense bud that was trimmable, that was like something that like the modern palate would really go after. When I brought it down to the show, it was like very rough. It was like, I was like, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be something. There's like some phenos in here that I can tell are like winners. And he really took it and fine-tuned it just, you know, at his research facility, and was able to really like run through phenos, find the ones that really shine down here in the Caribbean, and that did extra special well, and just breed with those and take those further and further down the lineage. So I don't know what stage what cross number we're at now, and I brought it to you as an F3.
Like 3 more.
So we're at an F6. And so at an F6, like that's when you really start to see that stability. It's like between like F6 and F9 is where you're, if done, you know, properly, done with the, you know, selecting for the same thing each time, you're really going to see that genome just really kind of start to bottleneck and become really uniform, which what we saw in the field yesterday, I mean, all that stuff could have gone into the same bag. It was like, it always testing high, always looking proper. Like I was really happy to see that, you know, the good doctor had done such excellent work.
So like topping the plant is kind of limiting it, you know, like in terms of a clone, not naturally grown more, you know, lateral branches, but you always want to get this main cola.
It's amazing how much this stuff smells like the Stupid Fruits. It's like smells like Stupid Fruits mixed with the original Trinidad. And it's amazing how much that Trinidad really smelled like the Stupid Fruits. Like they were very similar, like smelling plants. Like they had very different kind of growing characteristics. The Stupid Fruits was much more dense and prolific, but the Trinidad had that structure that we saw yesterday. That was just that, like, I mean, they're like razor blade thin leaves on it. Like we were calling them like the little mustaches.
It seems that this Caribbean Queen, aka Pure Sativa, the Landrace Preservation Project, was actually working its magic here. The buds seemed to be thriving, and it was extremely low impact and sustainable.
I think seeing the Caribbean Queen and being a part of all those queens, just being on the sunlight, would that be being given, would that be non-chlorinated water, and seeing the results, seeing the consistency across every tree. I think it inspired me. I think it will inspire other people to see that I don't need all of that to be in this industry. I don't need all of that to actually compete. So yeah, I'm 100% impressed with the Caribbean Queen. She speaks, she represents us all. If you see Caribbean women all over the world or in the Caribbean, they stand up beautifully. They show their lush, they're curvy, and the Caribbean Queen definitely gave us that 5-star rating.
Before, right? Wow. So all the worms eat the leaves.
No lights, no greenhouses, no crazy nutrient plan. Just nature and genetics from here, for here.
I can get the genetics, thanks to the collaboration, and the genetics will get me the desired result that I want. And I think that's what we need people to understand. That yes, it's one thing, we want to grow a plant, quality, consistency, everything. But what does this plant do for our society? How does it help us? How does it improve the world we live in? And I think that's what we're going to be trying to find next. Like, how do we raise these plants? We know the skills, we know what's required. We know we don't need all the lights, and we can still be competitive. But now that we're competitive, what are we going to do next? And what are we going to try to solve?
And all this planted straight from seed. No lights at all. So the entire growth cycle of these plants has been under 12-12. They're started in little pots, brought out in the field. Super simple irrigation technique with dripper lines, fresh clean water, the volcanic soil from Antigua. Man, it's like, you can't get more natural than this. Yeah, we got corn growing here, there's melons up on the table. This is permaculture.
But how did it compare to what was being grown on the island before?
The testing unit.
Yeah.
Should we get a little piece of this to test? Yeah, you need more than this?
No.
That's the word.
And we were about to find out, thanks to the doctor and his Neospectrum.
What did we just hit over? 5.5% THC on the local Wadadli. That's the local landrace grown herb. It's common that the herb we bought on the beach this morning from those really nice guys. That was the first joint of the day. I mean, yeah, it felt light, but at the same time, it felt really nice. Like it was definitely like a Bud Light, but it was like still like sativa, like woke you up, loosened you up a little bit, maybe like find your words, look people in the eye. Like unlike this Fire OG that I just smoked, where I'm like struggling to find my words right now. The Emerald Fire OG, which was replicated here, or replicated in Jamaica by Dr. Michelle, hit 24.99, and it was actually at like 12% moisture, so you actually would want to dry that out just a little bit more. And we got the Wadadli, which we bought on the beach. First people we met today in Antigua, down by the beach, and offered us some herb. Got a couple little pieces of Wadadli, as we call it locally. Smoked the joint first thing this morning. It was nice, it was light, it was smooth, and it did the job. It came back at 5.5 THC. So yeah, no wonder it was so light. No wonder it was such a great way to start the day. And then we got a cross that Dr. Michelle has been working on of the stupid fruits times the mango sherbet, which are two strains that do really, really well in the tropics. And that one's crushing it. Came out at 23.79% THC. And again, the moisture content was really high on it, as everything in the Caribbean, so that adjustment should be slightly higher. Dude, huge success. Much respect.
I use it for like research. I also use it based on my pheno hunting, particularly using breeding, to understand phenotypes based on the phytochemical profile. That like helps you a lot to like really put things to like get her to be able to get that market appeal. Previously, it used to be just based on organoleptic qualities and using it. Now you can actually get rapid testing by using modern day technology, and that is very helpful.
So it turns out the Humboldt Seed Company genetics do well here, but we had yet to see first-hand lab results from this pure sativa landrace preservation, also known as the Caribbean Queen.
Cool. Oh, there's scissors up here. If I could get the scissors and pick the one. Oh man, it's gonna be so hard. There's so many beautiful plants out there. We're gonna do a portrait of the Caribbean Queen. So yeah, we can dry a little bit of the sample out. Probably in the oven, not in the microwave, I don't think. No. Maybe we'll watch a YouTube video. I'm sure somebody's been here before. Remember any super photogenic ones you came across? I really liked a couple of the ones that are down here. I mean, honestly, just following where the light is right now, I bet you we'll just see, because the sun's going down. The plants in the back are gonna be probably a little less mature, but probably right on that line is gonna be like the nice zone. You can tell this stuff gets a little less light on this side of the garden. The plants are shorter, the buds dense, but like it's a little more leafy. Like just the individual buds are a little leafier. And it's like, yeah, once we start seeing them all getting calyxed out, there's like this one, there's barely any leaf on the cola. Pristine Dream. Where are you? Where are you, beautiful one? It's fat and it's not damaged a lot. Like there's not very much. Like there's a couple of little ones on the outside, but we can take those off. I don't know. Ooh, come check out this thing, dude. Pretty. Yeah, she's just like crossed on cross. Yeah, the leaves are thin, but the bud's dense and so frosty. I'm actually curious to look at the trichomes under some magnification. Not quite finished, but she's a queen. Caribbean Queen. This definitely smells like banana. Banana mango. Oh yeah. Banana mango. Not that she's not the biggest, but the beautiest. That one kind of did the same bud structure and bigger, but the leaves are toasted on it. This one looks like an old school, like Jacaré or something. The structure on that, or like a green crack maybe. This one's got that like just frosty, weird indoor look. Where this still looks more like an outdoor plant. And just the leaf ratios too. There's a lot more leaf on this one. It's throwing down harder, that's for sure. Cut off this plant. Yeah.
Most beautiful, no? So I'll give from front.
Yeah. This looks like it's growing inside. This is like the calyx to leaf ratio. It's all bud.
Just keep it in an air condition, man.
Yeah, respect. Good farmer. Yeah. Respect, guys. Keep it up. You can sell this as indoor. Like this plant for sure. Like if you were gonna look at it, it's so frosty and calyxy. Yeah, man.
I kept getting really interesting looks from people driving by. They'd wide-eyed look at me and staring, and they'd smile, and I'm like, oh, why are all these people looking at me, you know? And then I realized that there was this giant cola next to my head that I had forgotten about. We'd pull up to a stoplight, and you know, people passing by, and they'd be like, oh wow, you know, and they'd smile and giggle. And
After we had our winning bud, it was time to head back and see if we could catalog this first hunt in the Caribbean. Plus, the doctor had collected a dozen other samples from around the island from both indoor and outdoor to take a general survey of the land.
Preparing samples for the neospectrum phytochemical analysis of a few strains from a local cultivar, you know, from a local grower who grows mostly indoor, but he gave us a few outdoor samples for testing also. Ice cream cake, really purple, donkey flavor, got that, you know, gelato sort of terps, you know. Appearance, post-harvest looks pretty good, you know. Quite impressed.
You know if they pheno hunt these on island or if they're bringing in clones?
In the pheno hunt them on island.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It smells like cow blood. It smells like, you know, what's hypey in NorCal right now. It's got that smell that everybody likes. This one's almost got like a little, like butter, a little buttered biscuit or something. Like, I don't know, like some little like shortbread, cream gas.
25, 1, 3, 4, you know.
Which one?
Fruit Loops.
And this was indoor?
Yeah.
So indoor.
Linalool first, too.
Linalool?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So what are people growing under here? Do you see like HBSs still, or is it LEDs?
LEDs.
Imagine LEDs in the Caribbean would be the only way to do it because of the power consumption. Because power is expensive here.
Yeah.
Drying the cola out before definitely the trailer park was, you know that.
Hey everyone, this is Adam Mellenboss from Nightlight Astrology. Today we are going to take a look at Mercury culminating at the last anaretic degree of the sign of Cancer, making a sextile to Uranus, who is also culminating at the last anaretic degree of Taurus. So the sextile between these two planets, although very fast-moving, not typically an aspect that I would cover because of how fast-moving it is, becomes really significant because of that little detail. These are two culminating planets at that final degree. We're going to talk about why last degrees are important. We're going to talk about what the brief connection between these two planets might mean. And then, specifically, we're going to look at what it might mean in the context of Earth and water meeting. I've been doing a lot more work in my own, there's always like an aspect of my practice, just kind of my own personal interests and ongoing studies. I've been doing a lot with elemental theory the start of this summer and revisiting what ancient philosophers had to say about elemental theory. So I think I have a few fun insights to add into this delineation when it comes to the combination of Cancer and Taurus, Earth and water, that hopefully you'll find useful. Then tomorrow we're going to be looking at a string of very fast-moving aspects from Mercury to Saturn, Mercury to Neptune, and Mercury to Pluto that are taking place over the weekend. So if you remember back to the start of the week, I said at the end of the week we've got quite a run of aspects that are being formed through Mercury's movement. Today is really the first, and we're going to isolate because of that unique feature of the two planets being at the last anaretic degree as they contact through sextile. So anyway, that's our agenda for today. Before we get into it, as always, remember to like and subscribe. I hope that this channel is a place where you can be, kind of draw from the well every day as a part of how you care for yourself, and the astrology on this channel will be a friendly voice to accompany your spiritual journey in life. If that is the case for you and you watch, listen semi-regularly, please like and subscribe. It helps us grow immensely. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on my website, which is nightlightastrology.com. Only one promotion for the day, and that is under the events page. Go to live talks and you will see that my talk for the month of July, my monthly webinar, is on the 9th house. Temple of the Sun God, Enlightenment, and Good Karma. Most people aren't aware of why and how this house is actually associated with good karma that you receive in a lifetime. This is through the lens of Indian astrology. We'll be looking at the 9th house in addition to the Hellenistic significations. Really fascinating. Put a lot of research into building this talk. I hope you'll enjoy it. When you register, you get the link to attend the live webinar on July 10th. If you can't attend, you will get the recording afterwards. So I'll hope to see you, some of you there. On that note, let us now turn our attention to the real-time clock. We're going to take a look at this connection that's being made today, which is a quirky little aspect that, again, I don't always spend time on fast-moving sextiles because I find that sometimes it's just a nothing burger in terms of people's ability to spot or work with that kind of aspect because of how quick and sometimes subtle it is. I'm not saying sextiles are meaningless at all, but for a slower moving planet sextiling a planet in your natal chart, for example, a lot more prominent and easy to talk about in a lifetime because you're going to get it still over maybe a year. A transit like this lasts like a couple of days at most, and it's so quick. But this one is subtly very powerful, and the reason for that is that these two planets are sextiling one another. Mercury, being the faster moving planet, is applying to the sextile with Uranus in Taurus, Mercury in Cancer, but they're both at that 29th degree, the anaretic degree. Now, people always ask me, like, is the anaretic degree like a big deal? I think there's a lot of hype. I don't know, there's a lot of probably exaggeration and hyperbole surrounding some of the way that we talk about planets at anaretic degrees. And the word anaretic is sort of problematic. It basically means something like a killing degree. That's a little heavy. The reason that the 29th, not just the 29th degree, but typically the last final 2, 3, 4 degrees of a sign are considered difficult from the standpoint of ancient astrology is the fact that these last degrees are typically the bounds of Mars or Saturn. So if you're not familiar with bound theory, it is a form of essential dignity in ancient astrology that breaks each sign, every sign being 30 degrees of the total 360 of the zodiacal circle, breaks that 30-degree sign into 5 unequal parts. Each subsection of degrees of the sign is ruled by a planet. These are called the bounds or the terms, or sometimes the confines. It's really fascinating to study the underpinnings of this dignity category, what it means, how it should be uniquely applied. That's a whole thing that we break down in my Year 1 program. But suffice to say, the last degrees of all of the signs, without exception, I think Libra might be the only sign that actually ends in the bound of Venus. Otherwise, it's all Mars or Saturn, if my memory is correct. But regardless, primarily the last degrees of the signs are ruled by malefics. And when you get to the end of a sign, the general idea is that a transiting planet reaching the end of the sign is reaching something like the end of the religious ritual that you can think of it metaphorically, moving through a temple as conducting rites, ceremonies, and rituals while it's there. It's a god visiting the temple of another god and going through ceremonial rites. Now, translate that kind of image or metaphor into astrological epistemology, and what we're essentially saying is that that god in that temple, within the scope of a birth chart, represents the administration of a certain kind of karma, a certain kind of, in other words, a pattern of events, people, places, things, themes, psychology. It's both objective and subjective, and therefore the presence of a god in a temple is a very multidimensional thing, which is why we always use words like multidimensional, multivalent, archetypal. A god in a temple is like it's sort of a psychedelic mandala of things that are happening or that can be represented by a god traveling through a temple. When it reaches the end of the temple, you can think of it as having conducted its ceremonies, it's now at the very end. At the very end of a ceremony, if you've been in any kinds of ceremonies, I'm thinking, for example, of many of the ayahuasca ceremonies I've been in, I had a chance to sit with a Native American teacher in a sweat lodge ceremony one time in upstate New York, which was a really eye-opening, interesting experience to be a guest within. My experience within the curandero-led ceremonies in South America or the sweat lodge ceremony that I had a chance to participate in either case, the end of the ceremony is about how you close the space and how you seal the work that's been done. The malefics primarily represent death and the separating process of the soul from the body, the reality of mortality, of old age. Mars can be a little bit more sort of violent, it has this other side to it, but what we're really saying on an energetic or metaphysical level is that at the end of the sign, death, impermanence, finality, conclusion, and in a sense, karmic resolution take place. Well, in the material world, how do you know that something has served its karmic purpose? It dies. It's done. By die, we don't mean a final death, because we know that energy is eternal and everything's just moving and changing forms. But when something ends, it completes a process. It releases its fruits, and the fruits die, and they're eaten, and then that's it. The cycle is over. I like to communicate this side of the final degrees of signs because I think, given the malefic, killing degree connotations that I often see floating around out there, people, sort of regurgitating them, it's like there's something that people get this feeling that they're like evil, bad, hard, difficult things. It's like, well, no more so than the natural way that anything has to conclude or resolve itself. There's something that burns off. There's something that completes. The fire of life in the ceremony is extinguished at the end of the ceremony. The soul leaves the body. So there is something kind of conclusive and final about the last degrees of signs. And that's important to keep in mind when breaking an aspect like this down, that this aspect has a way of not just bringing the archetypes together, but bringing something to a conclusion, bringing it to resolution. In this world, one of the most difficult ways that we bring things to resolution is through death or through justice. It's like consequences for behaviors or letting go of attachments. Both of these forms of finality, one maybe sounds a little bit moral or like legal or something. There's maybe a little bit of a punitive sense of karma in that way, but it's also just the natural resolution of things that's as natural as the seasons. So think first of the connection that's being made today, subtle and fast as it is, as having the power to bring a process with some history behind it to a space of conclusion or resolution. That can be experienced in a myriad number of ways, so we have to be thoughtful about that when we observe our experiences today and reflect upon them. How are you seeing a moment that I like to call culmination, but has this connotation of endings, death, justice, consequences? There's a gravitas to it that can be a little heavy too. So anyway, that's part one. Part two is, what is a sextile? Well, a sextile is of the nature of Venus, and Venus likes to harmonize things. We're going to talk more in a minute about how earth and water may be working together right now, because that's something that I've been paying more attention to myself as I've been sort of deepening my understanding of ancient elemental theory across a number of different traditions, all of whom at some point practiced astrology. One thing that can be said, though, about the harmonizing of a sextile is that things that may not seem like they function together are brought together, like a diplomat is capable of bringing, negotiation and things to peaceful resolution. So a sextile kind of implies the potential for a certain kind of tension or difficulty that, this is the benefit, can be resolved or mediated or mended or harmonized. Now sometimes it has just a much more overtly positive meaning, where a sextile can mean that there's just a flow, or there's a natural sense of happiness or ease or pleasure, or subjectively good things are coming through the contact of the two planets that we would describe as enjoyable, or that we describe as beneficial, or even lucky. So now you have the sextile, a culminating sextile. See how that now starts to feel like there's a moment of finality, of resolution, and maybe it's beneficial, maybe it's harmonizing. Okay, it's fast moving too, but nonetheless, there's some pop behind this because of those 29 degrees. Now let's add in Mercury and Uranus. The two planets actually have a lot in common in terms of both being innovators, both potentially being sort of like tricksters, both being technological and inventive, both not really loving restrictions and boundaries, both being more prone to freedom and exploration, agility, adaptivity, and ingenuity. So these two planets coming together can thus bring favorable, harmonizing, pleasant, lucky connections that bring something to a space of resolution, conclusion, finality, and they can do so by providing sort of mental and let's call it technological solutions, or they can provide a kind of breakthrough mentally and emotionally. Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, very emotional place for Mercury. So do these two planets come together in the way that they're suddenly able to speak, communicate, or express something that maybe is bringing something to a head that has some emotional backing or history behind it. Now there's almost like an emotional mental breakthrough kind of quality, culmination, and it feels favorable. Okay, so you can kind of work with these things. Mercury and Uranus coming together can also represent problem solving and innovation to place things that are stuck, where you go, oh, now I know what to do, or oh, suddenly a light bulb's going off and I have an idea or a way of working through something, or maybe even if you've been thinking about something for a long time, suddenly you have new tools, new ways of seeing, thinking, perceiving, relating that facilitate a kind of breakthrough where things have been stuck, or where there's been a long process that's built up to this point, and now a kind of flood or breakthrough is occurring. And there's a level at which that breakthrough is mental, psychological, intellectual, rooted in ideas, systems of thought, or organizational structures in your head, or in how you organize information and energy in your life. So it's a pretty nice aspect, all things considered, in the way that things can come together in a very positive sense, create a kind of culminating breakthrough moment. All right, so that's a little bit about the Mercury and Uranus part. What I want to do today is just for fun, because it's always fun to bring new ways of breaking things down. How do earth and water work together in a contact like this? These are just some extra elemental ways of thinking, given that Mercury is in the water sign of Cancer. Uranus is in the last degree of earthy Taurus. Well, one way in which earth and water work together is coagulation. Coagulation will be, let's say, Mercury in Cancer has built up a lot of feelings and a lot of, like, remember, Mercury in Cancer, the water sign, takes things in. Water is very receptive, inward moving, and it brings more slowness and depth, and it's like water cooling down into a ravine and gathering to create a pool of water. Water brings things deeply inside, felt connections with other beings, where thoughts and feelings sort of coagulate over time. But for them to not be inert and not be sort of formless and just purely emotional, for those things that have been emotional to turn into something, the contact with earth often provides the coagulation into form. And so a very basic way that water and earth work together harmoniously in a sextile is for things that have been felt or have been living somehow inside or internally or in more private or secret or unconscious spaces to be given a sudden breakthrough opportunity, Uranus in an earth sign, to coagulate and come into form. This would represent a culminating moment of coagulation that is likely sort of lucky or harmonious. You can see how that works. Emotional and material support. The two come together, and the earth, the practical, functional, formal part of earth can receive emotional depth and substance. It's like, well, some people would love a loyal relationship more than anything, but if you're in a loyal relationship that doesn't have emotional intimacy, at some point you're going to say, I'd rather have, probably, grass is always greener, in other words. Someone would say, well, I'd probably rather have a little bit of volatility or risk of instability in the relationship if I got a little bit more emotional depth and intimacy, right? So water and earth ideally work together to support one another, where the emotionality of water has something substantive and formal and practical and consistent and sort of habitual and steady that can ground and anchor it, as I'm sure all of you know this, right? On the other hand, we don't want something so formal and structural that it's like inert and lifeless, and so the water animates and gives interiority to the form. So what we're talking about now is a really interesting way in which the inner and the outer can harmonize. The inner emotional, intimate realm of life, water, can be infused meaningfully, culminating in this moment that may even represent something of a breakthrough in a form of emotional and material cooperation. Number 3 would be fertility, stability, and grounding. So water gives earth fertility. It takes a sort of dry and somewhat lifeless thing. I don't mean to say that earth is lifeless, but water is really obviously necessary for plants to grow, just like sunshine, sun and water. So the earth, the substance that we have, the material that we have, the resources that we have, the time, the energy that we have in our bodies or our minds, for it to be infused with a fertile quality that can orient it towards growth, that can take something that's maybe a little stuck or stagnant and suddenly provide it with new life and movement and gestation. That's the kind of breakthrough we could be seeing right now. And sometimes it's very subtle. It's especially a quick moving connection like this, but watch for where you're seeing a kind of fertile energy that's maybe facilitating rapid movement where things have been stuck. Also, for something that has been very emotionally alive and intense, to find something formal and grounding that can facilitate movement but safety and structure and grounding, right? So watch for those things to be complementing one another. Now, the other thing I love about earth and water is that when they come through, there's a way in which the level of embodied, instinctual understanding of the body's wisdom and things like emotional connections and bonds and routine, habit, practice, actually showing up and doing things can come together. There's nothing better for a garden, in a sense, than people with earth and water energy in their charts. I mean, obviously anyone can be a gardener, it doesn't matter what your chart looks like, really, because I've seen it all. But what I'm trying to say is that that sense of I'm emotionally connected to other beings, but that also is not just whimsical. It shows up in practical, tangible, functional, concrete, everyday ways that ground and express that energy consistently. Those two things coming together right now can be a really meaningful connection, again, between the inner and the outer, and then holding and gestating. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough that happens is where we suddenly just create space for something. I think, for example, about what a fertile space my wife and I have created in our lives when we closed our yoga studio to focus more on family. So we moved into mostly our online offerings, right? Our online classes, so we could teach from home and have a flexible schedule, you know, within which to raise a family. And we're very fortunate we were able to do that because, you know, not like our business may not have even survived COVID if we hadn't. But we closed it down late 2019, and some of our friends with yoga studios, they had to close down shop at their brick and mortar locations in 2020. So we got lucky, but I guess all I'm trying to say is that when it comes to creating space for something, sometimes the biggest breakthrough is just recognizing what matters, what our feeling body cares about, and simultaneously, what is the practical way in which we need to create space for something to grow and flow and gestate. So Uranus, Mercury can be about the realization of what matters such that you create space for things to grow and gestate within. Not that exactly the growth and gestation may not happen immediately, but the space to create that gestation within can manifest right now. That's an earth and water dynamic. So anyway, I thought this would be a fun way of looking at some of the, you know, kind of layers of the transit today. I hope that you found it useful. I always like to explore, you know, kind of deepen my connections with topics throughout the year, and then often I shape some of my master classes based on what I'm finding most interesting. But anyway, if you check out, on that note, if you check out the shop page on the website, there's tons of master classes, prior webinars and talks that I've given. So there's just a lot of material there if you're a student of astrology and want to go deeper within the network. All right, on that note, I hope you're having a great day, and we will be visiting Mercury's weekend full of aspects tomorrow. So we'll see you again then. Bye.
Excited to announce that we're taking the Pheno Hunt global. We've been, you know, hunting in California, Oklahoma, Michigan, Florida.
Yeah, this is Glen, and these are the maps. This one is Malana Valley.
doesn't drop from your fingers, so sticky it is. It's incredible. And so intense the aroma. You can smell in it the mountains. You can smell a little bit of resin from pine trees, a little bit. It's so complex, it's incredible.
The place in India where we are going, in the mountains, it's famous for its charas. How is it made? This is one of the reasons that we're going to this place. This is one of the few places in the world where they make the hash from live plants.
This is the best cream produced in the Himalayas, and we're going to make sure that when we come back, we will bring back with us the knowledge, the precious knowledge that Franco Casalona and that many other people have about that area and about this kind of quality. This is Cannabis Cup winner quality stuff.
For me, it's very interesting and very nice, both to go back in India and to work to make something for this plant, because I told you, for me, it's my life.
The Indian expedition started with a really cool trip from Amsterdam. After a great dinner and a good night of sleep, we went to the airport, boarded the KLM flight, and in 8 hours we were in India.
Simon! No way, Simon!
Fortunately, our great friend Simon was waiting for us in Choki. Came all the way from Africa, and it's always a surprise if people arrive on time or not.
We travel long distances to meet each other, and communication is quite difficult sometimes, so it was really a cool experience and a cool thing to find him there waiting for us. At the temple there was a ceremony going on. So in our honor and in honor of the Shiva, god of Charas, we witnessed this ceremony.
Also very important is traditional cultures here in India. Was a suggestion from our Sherpa here, Chapu. We also decided to offer a goat to the gods for our well-being into the mountains.
And it was pretty amazing, pretty unique, quite intense experience. You could really feel the vibration of something special in the air.
Man, look at this church. This is church, yeah. See that? This is church. Wow.
The first one's in India.
Not
the rest of
man.
them.
Man. Yeah, man. These are the original color seeds, man. Look at this.
This green one.
Sure.
This one, eh?
No. Green.
Yes.
Yeah, church. This side.
Yellow. This one here. Lemon haze. What do you think about all the females? Because it's only females, eh?
Yeah, circa l'archipo.
What did he say?
These males are not good.
100% greenhouse feminized quality. No doubt. In the Himalayas. This is gonna be a nice smoke. In the the Himalayas as well as in Africa. And this one performs well everywhere, this plant.
And it's full of seeds, huh?
Yeah.
We arrived in the morning in Kulu, and the first thing we did, of course, is smell and taste some culture of the area. So we decided to have a little walk on the market. A very colorful market with all beautiful clothes and people, and a kind of circus, young children doing things that you can question if it's good or not, but this is India. Compared to Europe, it's incredible, also the prices and the labor and the people who are working there. You see the ice cream vendors with their ISO patent little cars.
Dussehra Festival is a festival they make to remember the victory of the god Rama against a devil who was living in Sri Lanka and who raped his wife Sita. Hundreds of thousands of people they will come because here in any village there is a different god. So in this particular day all the gods will go in Kulu.
We got on the main square, and all these gods, these personifications of gods came running through the streets, parading through the streets, and the army was there, an incredible amount of soldiers.
Thousands of gods come together. Also our god Shiva, the Danja god.
The festival was really colorful. It was something that for me was unique to see. Also because you can feel the culture, how it pregnates the life of the people here.
It was a big ride in the end, but it was beautiful to be a part of this festival.
The Mahindra in India is like a classic. If you drive around, you see thousands of these old Mahindra Jeeps. And for us, it was really nice to be able to drive and get the feeling of the real India on the road. Compared to other countries where we are able to get a bit more modern and a bit more efficient 4x4s, actually it was a little bit of a step back, but we adapt and we move on and we drive on.
After a few hours in the car, we reached the bottom of Malana Valley, and that's where the walk begins. And the walk is pretty steep. Immediately it starts with a good session, all the way up to 2,700 meters. And that's where the incredible character Galeno lives.
Galeno!
Macha, my end is very good.
We walked up to Galeno, an Italian man who's living for 24 years on that mountain.
He's one of these crazy hippie characters who lives in his own world, but he creates something very special and very magical around him.
And he knows a lot about hand rubbing and making charas. He grows his own vegetables. He lives in his own monoculture, meaning there. He's got all different kinds of things. And he made also a very nice woolen sweater for me for in the cold.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cheeky. To decide to come here and to forget this fucking new world.
Galeno was pure poetry. It was unbelievable to find him living there. Inspirational at his age. He's so strong and healthy, his mind is so clear.
all that counts for him is writing poetry, smoking good charas in the chillum, and having positive vibes and positive energy with the people and the animals and the plants around him.
Oltre al canto degli uccelli, ciò che allieta il mio mattino sono i 5 ossieri spinelli, a dir poco, che mi fumo accanto al fuoco. Means that there are in morning time, no, the singing of the birds, no, it is make me happy. But it's not only this that in the morning I am happy, because I help for gardening, smoking 5-6 joints at least. At least.
We decided to camp on 2,700, very close to where Franco had lived for a very long time, in his cave.
He told me about the cave many times, but when you see it in person, then it's really incredible. You see this place, the view alone is out of this planet, and you think so peaceful, so magical, with plants around, fields around, small community of mountain people which are very welcoming and very friendly.
When I arrived here, it was open. Then the locals, they told me there was a house there broken. They told me you take stones and wood and you fit it. And they helped me, they fit it. When did you came here? 96.
96?
96. How many years did you live here? 10 years.
You're 10 years in the cave?
Yeah. First time I was in this area, it was in 91. Then I was amazing from these Himalayas, really. Then in 94, I had the trouble in Italy, so I had my strains. I decided to give them a chance. In the spring of 96, I was here asking to the locals if it was possible to give them some chance. They told me yes, we can do it. Then I started on living here, but I realized was not only for this, all this kind of life is so interesting.
This is incredible. Beautiful restaurants.
Take a little bit of leaves off. They start to have black seeds. Yeah, they're nearly ready. Yeah,
is that right?
Good for making cream. Like this.
The original hand way of making charas.
Rubbing it.
The big difference with Morocco is where they dry the plants, but here you have to do it all alive.
We decided to build the base camp there because after that we could walk for another few hours up to 3,000, 3,200 to very special fields.
And these fields are amazing. The genetics there are actually very, very special because you can see many phenotypes of the same kind of land race that generates this incredible charas and incredible cream. And in the same field you can see purple plants, you can see sweet flowery plants, you can see real sativas with a minty, piney, woody smell, and a very, very nice variation. So very interesting from a plant point of view also.
So it takes you a whole day to make one tola.
It will be very difficult now to make one tola in one day.
Wow.
It will be
maybe half tola, no?
Maybe 6-7 grams maximum.
6-7 grams. The tola in India is 10 grams, so now they make 6-7 grams. Then you have to work hard. One full day of work, can you imagine?
Camping as a strain hunter is also a little bit a different experience than people imagine, because of course the kind of time and time frame you have is always very short. You have to set up tent at the end of the day and leave your camp very early in the morning, so you don't have much time to prepare much to eat or You just have time to make a nice big fire that we always take care of doing because it's safe and gets you warm. It's very important.
Traveling from Malawi to India is obviously quite a shock. Massive differences obviously in terms of altitude and terrain, and also in terms of how people plant. In Malawi you'd find this tiny little field hidden miles and miles away, really like a needle in a haystack, whereas in India you really just hit that ganja is everywhere.
After the cave, we kept moving until we finally reached the top fields.
Franco showed us how the original cream is made now, and this is something the foreigners brought in like 15 years ago, because it used to be only charas, and now they also make cream. This is a higher quality with less particulars of the planting, like no hairs and no calyxes and wood.
Hey, wait a second. 3,000 meters, man.
And for us it was also a very big learning experience to see from which area the best cream or best charas come. What we really saw is that the higher you get, the higher the quality of the cream gets, and also the more indica the plant gets.
This is the field.
How many plants are here?
Here are few millions all around. So the plants we have to choose, they should be ripened, but not fully ripened. They should have not one dry point of the little leaves also to make the cream.
We all sat in a circle and Franco started teaching us how to make the perfect hand of charas and the perfect hand of cream, and it was just incredible. We just sat there in the sun. It was such a beautiful day with this crispy mountain air. And we started rubbing.
So the hands are totally clean, nothing on the hands, no cream, no nothing. The hands must be in the sun, what Frank explained to us. They better the face away from the sun because it's a long hot day. Then you slowly rub the plants in the manicure first.
One by one. Some people they will clean all before, all together, but they will start to let some juice if you clean all before. It's better. For better quality, it's better to clean one by one.
The rubbing in the Himalayas, man. This is pretty cool.
The stem you should take away. Then a bud you put in the hands, and we start to caress it. Very gently, very slowly, and without pressure. You just must to feel it, to rub in your hands, in your palms, without your fingers, without breaking anything.
Look already, you see the stitches.
This big, yes. It's too big, yes. It's better to make too little together. When you strip it, you don't make like this, because this, this will take away the charas from your head.
We try to let it, the big piece on your fingers. Bigger it is, like this piece, you will use it. You take the whole piece. You have to press, you have to have, bigger it is.
Look, the more it takes. Look at, yeah. And more it takes away.
After walking down, rushing down the mountain, we reached the village of Molana.
There's now a road going down there, but before you had to walk like 20, 24 k's to get there, like 2 days. Now because of all the dams that are building in this area, it's easy to access, but still it's a very pretty steep climb up to the village. But once you are in the village, you are in a totally different world.
Hey guys, yeah, you arrived.
These guys are probably the direct descendants of Alexander the Great's troops left in this area during their conquering of Asia.
You cannot touch the people, you cannot touch the houses, you're not allowed to eat with them.
This place was very hidden in the mountain, and it was isolated.
Everything they need, they get from the mountain. Okay, so the way they build their houses without nails, the wood, even the stones for the roof. And Franco Casaloni tells us that in older times, the only two things that people needed was salt and oil.
Franco, can you ask the guy for a bottle of water?
Here, we cannot go inside the shop because they sell eatable items. So they will come all impure. It's better not touch.
They was letting a few sacks of wool. They was going away, and the locals from down looking how many, and changing with salt and rice, and going away. And the Malana people, they was going and taking with no even looking there.
In the last 100 years, or even the last 150 years, charas has replaced wool as a form of barter. So these mountain people live this life totally self-sufficient, and they use charas to buy the few things that they can't obtain from the mountain.
To see Malana people, it was really another confirmation of the fact that cannabis is integrating part of the most special cultures on this planet.
Charas is people's freedom in these areas.
Okay, Sumaru, after meeting you in May, after all your problems, we had decided to give you a beautiful house in your village of Malana. And we're starting now, and we hope it's going to be ready before the winter. And we made a nice plek for you, because this is a holy village. We cannot touch each other. We can also not touch the house, so we're going to put it down here. And we hope it will bring you a lot of prosperity and a lot of good luck for the rest of your life. And here is the plate and your house. We donated this house to Samaru. We lost both his parents. He's an orphan when he was 4 and 7 years old. First his father and then his mother. Now he's 18 and has nothing. He just sleeps in a shed and only has a few sheep and one pot field. So we decided to give him a nice house, to give him a little bit more luck than he had in the past. We did a lot of work for the Greenhouse Foundation in the past. Most of the work is helping people with good seeds and in other ways. We have never given any attention to the public about our foundation, because it is questionable for some people. But now when the situation is changing in the world with the cannabis is getting more accepted, cannabis is getting more legal around in the world. People are realizing that cannabis is not that bad at all in the end. And also us becoming more and more popular on YouTube with like more than 20 million hits. We decided that if we go open with the Greenhouse Foundation, maybe we can get more funds and do more things in the future.
After a good night of rest in the guest house in Malana, we started a really long walk, really steep walk, and we reached one of the most secluded valleys in the area. The locals call it Rally Touch. It's the Valley of the Devils. We were a little bit shaky on that walk because we heard rumors the night before that over 200 police officers were on the way to our area to cut down cannabis plants and to perform their so-called duties.
This is a whole game between the politicians, the farmers and the police. It's a very sad situation.
The war on drugs takes on very interesting dimensions when you come to India. You've got hundreds of policemen who are paid to climb up the mountain and try and just cut. And
the time it takes them to cut one plant is the time it takes someone to rub a plant. So this is futile expenditure of energy, and it just must be really demoralizing for them. It's also quite fantastic for me that in the mountains protect the people the way they do. The mountains, yeah, just make it impossible.
Wow, look at this guys. Look at plants here. How high are we? We are 3,028 meters. So it's 600-700 meters up today. Yeah, 600 meters up we started. Yeah. This is the valley of the Rally Touch, Simon. The valley of the devil. Well, now, today, we have to see what we do in the end of the day, because there's 200 police down there. So if we come back all alone, it's safe. If we have to do an emergency evacuation, we go down right to the pass, because they're going to search up to the glacier now. We don't know yet. We will register after we move.
Amazing valley. Well, basically, what we figured out up to now is that this side is the warmest side, and so it matures a little bit earlier.
It will keep a lot of sun.
And the advantage here, much more production.
Much more.
Because they can work 12 hours. In the other side where we made the hand charas, it was only 7 hours. Here's 12 hours.
12 hours, huh? They are really freedom fighters. The police comes, cut the field, they go more far away.
Have the police ever cut on this side?
Huh?
Yes, they come. Also on this side?
Yeah, because they know.
And the European community is giving them 10 million euros to cut down the plants. So what they did, basically they're separating the money. They're giving a little bit here, a little bit there. And the farmers just went up a little higher and put more fields. Yeah?
And also the funny part is that the cops, they stand up here to cut the plants. They themselves smoke charas, they rub, it's in their culture, their families do it.
In the daytime they come, they cut the plants. In the evening time they ask to the locals some charas to smoke. They know this culture for them.
And then they get drunk, you know. And then you see also here the alcohol.
And more, they promise it to the locals to grow chick beans, to have a good price instead of growing charas.
How much did they offer them?
They offer them 80 rupees per kilo.
80. 80. And how much did they get?
And they get 6.
You see?
6.
So the government promised them, you change the crop.
And now they are coming to cut the plants more. And for these people, nothing. What they will eat in this winter?
Beautiful plants, eh, Franco?
Yes. Very nice. Full of resin.
Yeah, but here they have the sunlight nearly the whole day.
Yes. And now they have an oily resin. It's hot, the sun.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Here, one of the best creams of the area comes.
Yeah, man, it's really jungle style.
It's massive.
They rub, and when they rub, the seeds fall down, and when the seeds fall down, it grows.
Yeah, you see the different phenotypes here? That's why you never get the same cream or charas in this whole area in India.
No,
the whole place.
You can see also on the plants that they are really resistant, because I mean, for the kind of roughness they go through climate-wise and altitude-wise, it's pretty healthy and pretty clean.
But you see now it's the perfect time for the harvest. You see the plants are turning yellow, end of the season, autumn. The crystals are double as the size as the other side of the mountains.
Yeah, much more.
A little bit different again than the Malawi style, the African style, where they put the whole pile. Here they throw the hand, you see? You see them lying everywhere. And in Africa they put little piles everywhere because the birds eat them.
What else you get? You get the sweet. You get the sweet, you get the minty, you get mango. I get mango.
I can make a bowl now.
On the finish.
So here's the end result. A very nice piece of jungle cream. Look at this. Franco, you as a boomman, you should light it up.
Bomb.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Very sweet.
Man, the flavor.
So this is Raleigh touch here, huh?
Raleigh touch.
Can our friend explain a little bit the story about this Devil's Valley?
This place. Here was the place of the devil. His name was Raleigh. Then that means field.
Yeah.
And he was eating a man, taking his clothes and going in the house of this man where his brother was living with the same face of the man eaten. But here the devils, they can have the same face of the man, but they have a heel here in the bottom of the feet.
Okay.
So here his brother recognized it. It is a devil. Then when he recognized this, he gave to the devil a lot of food. So the devil was sleeping. And in night time, he was putting this scissor they used to cut wool to the sheep. They are big. In the fire, they was very hot. Then in the night time, while the devil was sleeping, he put in the eyes of the devil. Okay. And the devil died. So since that time, here people can stay. And this is the place maintains the name of this devil.
Let's go straight to the barbecue.
I've been before in this area and I know there's a very, very nice field, but we have to pass a dam and a lot of security things. But luckily one of our guides had some connections to a high-ranking police officer. There's a very big project going on building dams. And the aspects of the environment are totally thrown overboard.
Even though they're doing something good to the eyes of the world because they are creating so-called green energy, the way they are doing it is just nasty. They are overruling any logic, any environmental rule. They are putting lives of people at risk. And the condition of living of the workers there are inhumane, insane, that not even animals live like that.
Hi guys. Hi guys. How long you work here? Where are you from?
I'm India.
You're India?
Yeah.
Which area?
In district Chamba, Himachal Pradesh. In this state. Yes.
When you look at these projects, you can see they are economic hitman projects. They are projects cooked up by consultants somewhere.
How much they pay? How much they pay you?
Stay with me. Nothing.
They pay nothing?
Yeah.
They pay?
Maybe 6,000, 7,000.
Rupees? 100 euros. 100 euros. It's 3 euros a day.
And you make only 7,000 a month and you have to pay also the food there? Yes, of course.
But do you know how many people die in the dam, making the dam or not?
Not just 15-20 people die.
Here?
Yes.
15-20 people, accident?
Yes.
And family get money? No.
Not has any money in this country.
No person get money in this country.
Like my friend was speaking, we are owner of our life, and when the road and the dam will come, we will have to work and to live for somebody else. And that's true.
Cheers. Cheers, sir. Cheers. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
What I've heard, and this is the good thing in the end, is that the European community is putting 10 million euros one way and the other by supporting the narcotic police here in India to cut down all those plants. And basically what I think is happening now is that this money is divided between politicians, police and farmers. Because what you see happening now is the farmers are pulling a little bit away from the road, so it's not in your face totally anymore, but they're putting it up more in the mountains. And they're putting 3 times more up.
Until a few years ago, there were actually shops where you could buy this stuff legal all around India. So, you know, it's very difficult to change the attitude of someone when for thousands of years has been part of your culture.
How long you work with the police? 23 years. 23 years? Very long, huh? Yeah. It's a good job? 26, yeah. They pay good? Everybody respects the police. Everybody respects the police. And many plants, just put there. The police can cut down the plants. Many work, Yeah, cannabis plants. Yes. Yeah. If you cut down the plants for the local, maybe go crazy, So what do you do? Cannot do nothing. They're angry, Yeah. How many times you cut down in a year? 4 or 5 times. So all police also smoke here, like the farmer, everybody? Yeah, it's part of the culture. They smoke. But, and many people also drink, So what do you think is better, smoking or drinking? Drinking better? Smoking not good?
And the funny part is when you talk to a police officer about this, you also can say, in Europe they will say, we know that cannabis plants are good, but we're just doing our job, we have to cut them down, and we know that alcohol is much worse. Well, here you have a situation where you interrogate the police officer, the highest ranking police officer of the area, and he just basically says, plain in your face, no, alcohol is much better for you, and we should not smoke a charas.
So what we tell our children, drinking better or smoking better? Drinking better. But also from alcohol, many people die, No. That problem? No?
It's just really, really sad that you have everyone jumping on the alcohol thing, and the charas is a much more gentler culture, it makes people shanty, it makes people think.
In thousands of years, in billions of smokers, never one died for that, and now they are going to brainwash people, not only the police, in the school, in the books.
Where the best charas come from? From Pradesh. Where the best one come from? Good climate and good charas. For if you take one joint, for 3 and 4 hours, it's shanty.
Look at this. Look at the stalks here. Incredible. Wow. Amazing smell. Really incredible smell. Who are you? Pleased to meet you. I'm Franco. Oops, sorry.
Franco, come here.
I'm coming.
Wow. Look at this,
Mind-blowing place.
Look at here. Everywhere.
Really beautiful. Stalks are impressive.
See, they have all males here.
Full of males, I think they leave the males in some areas so that they can make enough seeds for the next year. But for sure here they pull them because you can find them on the ground already a lot.
Cut it off.
Yeah, that's the one. What a lady. Wow. Look at this, eh? What a lady. Amazing. Look what a strange smell. Really amazing. Hardly any smell this one. But yeah, but it has a fruitiness that the others don't have though. The others were really mintiness, and this one has a fruitiness in it. Beautiful.
You see that? The buds are in the where you don't normally don't see them.
Directly from the stalk. Instead of a single pre-flower, she's shooting bud from the stalk.
How many seeds we have? We have some seeds.
We have 15.
So we take this plant with us. Cross the river with it.
The next day we're planning to reach Tosh, so we got on our bikes.
What every person that travels to India should do or did is travel around on a big Royal Enfield, the Bullet.
The first time I was in India was '89. I bought a second-hand model in Bombay. Then I traveled that 12,000 kilometers all around India.
The Royal Enfield is just an absolute classic. And as soon as we got to India, we saw how many there were. Our tongues were just hanging out. So we quickly made a plan and arranged to hire some. And yeah, beautiful, beautiful experience.
It's actually a nice morning, but pretty soon we see thick, nasty clouds approaching the sky, and in a matter of few hours it starts raining.
In one way or the other, fortunately or not fortunately, we walked in the mountains for 5-6 hours in very bad conditions, a lot of heavy rain, and we find this field.
Jesus Christ, look here, guys.
Destruction, eh?
Incredible what the police did, eh? Here you see what happens with European community money. But they leave a whole part there, eh?
Yeah, because
You think they have a deal with the farmers or something?
I think maybe it was coming too late because you see it's usual.
Maybe it started raining and they run all the way.
Yeah, they run away.
The surprise was not a good one, because as we get there, we realized that most of the field we were supposed to visit was already being chopped down by the cops.
And the funny thing again is here that so many police officers, but the field was so big they only could go half of it. But at least you see the destroying of the plants happening right in front of you. We just arrived in that field and all the plants were cut down and some is left, and at the same time we realized that this is the food for the farmer for his whole year, and now he's going to suffer.
I am scared to walk on all these bars.
Somehow a quarter of the field was still standing, and what was still standing was pretty damn amazing.
This one smells really strange. Yeah, so this one is pineapple mango. This is the pineapple mango story, full.
Just a little bit more and we are into the snow mountain. We're lucky the rain stops. A little bit.
A little bit, but the plants are so wet they cannot make it.
No, we can't rub any charas today because of the rain.
Look at this one. I will cut and bring them. Look at this one. Wow.
What's that?
Looks like
Amazing.
a nice. That looks like a very nice.
Amazing.
It looks like a
Nice,
return.
eh?
Yeah.
Nice, eh?
It also like a straight female.
Yeah.
We had to make a small fire on the way down to try to dry our clothes and dry ourselves and warm up a little bit. And that's something that just happens, you know, when you are strain hunting, you have to keep flexible. No problem, it's part of the game. It's actually a lot of fun if you have the right spirit for it.
the workers don't sign off not to be for me when you
But I just came back from California. There are 4,000 coffee shops. There are coffee shops in Spain. There are coffee shops all over the world. But they don't have a license. But they are there, and the police tolerate these coffee shops. And also here in India, I think there's a few hundred coffee shops.
Tosh is a very colorful little village, all the way up into Parvati Valley. And we had a contact there in a really nice guest house, the Himalaya Gold Guest House. And the atmosphere is really like a coffee shop. You sit down, and they bring you a nice hot cup of tea, and you can sample different varieties of charas, of cream. They have chillums, everything is arranged.
You can buy your hash there, and you can smoke. And people from all over India come there, and the local police come there to smoke with us. So yeah, I think it's pretty relaxed after all the stories that we heard.
So in Buntar City, we had the chance to sample the local cuisine. It was quite a hectic, quite chaotic experience, but the food was really tasty.
We had a really nice lunch in a traditional Indian restaurant with the tandoor there and some dal and some chapatis.
It was nice. Nice to see how the locals enjoy the food. After that, we had quite a long trip in the car, all the way climbing this nasty mountain road. We had a few problems 2 or 3 times with the car. We had to watch out because the conditions of our tires were pretty scary. But we got to the top of this beautiful mountain where we camped again. It was a very nice night. We had a beautiful moonlight. We made a big fire. It was really a very special experience.